Oh. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. What is up, DGG? I don't like this light. I don't like it when I look at the monitor. That light is right the fuck there. It bothers me. But I don't think I have enough space in this room to move it. Whatever. I don't care. You see Caroline Levitt flip the cause and effect for the LA riots. Flipping cause and effect is a favorite for these bad boys. What's this? How's your day been so far? Okay. I had to take Nathan to the airport, and it took me 4 hours. Ugh. But we did it. We got her done. Holocaust denier cites Finkelstein for his 200K death number. I don't know if Finkelstein actually says 200K in the Holocaust industry, but still.
This caption is in reference to a thoroughly debunked flat earth level conspiracy that not 6 million Jews, including my family members, died in the Holocaust, but actually a paltry 207.
Would you have any interest in watching a 6-minute TikTok going into messaging about the LA riots? I feel like it would be interesting for you. Probably not, because I think it's the one we watched yesterday. And if it is the one we watched yesterday, that TikTok was fucking Bazed. That dude was sick as fuck. It's a super good TikTok.
71,000.
He seems like a guy who would probably be capable of reading a book. So I have an incredible recommendation for you. The Holocaust Industry by Norman Finkelstein.
It's on you to not allow this kind of hate to flow so freely from somebody this violently, comically misinformed with this much reach. You know what I'm saying? Do what you need to do.
That's a nice little...
Any court updates? I don't know. You guys check the docket. Have there been? Docket. Nope, just their fuck-ups from the last filing that they had to correct. Bro, listening to... I'm trying not to give... I shouldn't be giving these people any attention, but now it's just kind of funny. Some guy was pressing a hater on his stream a lot about, like, why don't you come out and join Pixie's case?
And this guy, he knows how to sweep Destiny's.
And Jessica was like, I can't join. They're gonna kill me. He's like, he's trying to pretend that he's like actually afraid for his life. He's like, I think they're gonna kill me. He's already sent his audience, and they're gonna kill me. Meanwhile, like, was covering this basically daily. I don't know. I just think that was fucking hilarious. But everybody was asking him, because I remember when this all started, Jessica was like, oh, I know so much information about everything going on in the background. You guys are going to shit your pants. And then now people are like, well, why don't you join the case? Like, wouldn't this be so important? Because they're clearly flailing. And he's like, I've already said everything I know publicly. What more can I do? There's no point in me. Fuck, these clips are all like 20 minutes long, so I don't know.
Person, I would do it. If I was in your position,
can you think of? You know, there's normally an exercise.
I have done it.
If you are thinking about this, why? Let's say you believe what you believe. why would you still say that you can't speak, right? Why would you go and do that? Why would you say you can't speak on it unless you get?
Oh, someone getting money off it. I don't get.
It's weird that you went to say that if he committed crimes, should he, like, that was a weird
Just
hypothetical.
answer it.
I don't think.
I mean, charge criminally.
Are we talking about this specific
Okay.
case? It's
Okay,
like,
fuck. I didn't bookmark anything here. I was just hilarious. I'm gonna die. If I join this case, they could kill me. Like, okay. What's the timeline on the case? Same as it always has been. However long until we can do summary judgment. I think you have to wait for the discovery phase to end. I don't know when the discovery phase ends or what the date is on that, but I still need to work on that. Fuck me. Oh. I thought I was getting a schizo email because I get sometimes schizophrenics find my email and they send me crazy shit. But never mind, I understand now. I know things have been rough lately, and I want you to know that I'm completely with you. Z was 1,000,000,000% disappointed and unamused with J. The only thing I think your interpretation is missing is that the applicants were to fill the position of K's partner. That's why he had the final say in who to pick rather than just sucking Z's dick to let him in. True! Oh, how did I forget that? Absolutely true. Absolute. How did I? Oh my God. For the testing process itself and the shooting part, it wouldn't make sense in universe to test their intuitions on alien presence when they had nothing to build them around. Interpreting Jay's performance, it'd be easier to teach a disciplined person to differentiate between the hostile and the friendly aliens than to discipline a retarded child. Most of the aliens in the scene were missing any details that would let you deduce their intentions, and Jay just tried to post hoc his goofery with his tirade. True. An alien just working under a post lamp, what the fuck is he on about? Shit's gonna break and it's gonna cost the city to renovate it. True. It's definitely a sign of non-compliance and hostility. True. And even under the assumption that they wanted someone to demonstrate they don't have prejudice against aliens until they explicitly aggress, his reasoning for shooting the girl would just fuck that over as well. Oh my God. What an absolutely based emailer. Move to Epic. What is this? Hassan has been denied global entry. Wait, I thought he said he had global entry. Oh, it was revoked. Huh. He said he got conditional approval in 2024 sometime, then he got it officially in February this year, and then a month later it was revoked. Was it, did he have it when he came back through, when he sorted out all over the fucking internet and everything? Stop! Way too loud. Okay, wait, what was this? Sorry.
Little threat there at the end.
You can't read, we get it, you know? Insisting, however, that the Holocaust is
Talking about reading once again, Holocaust industry, I recommend you read. So because Sam seems to know his history so well, I went ahead and shot him a DM over here, right? Just let's have a live stream debate. If you feel so strongly. Kind of make it a point to avoid platforming actual Nazis, Ken. Which is an interesting take because you literally tagged me in the video and then made a video about me to your followers. Which hopefully I can actually awaken some of those people. I'll scroll through the DMs, but basically it's essentially just me wanting to actually have a live stream debate. Hosted on my channel, right? He doesn't even have to platform me. And we can cover every single bullet point he wants to cover. We can actually compare how much Sam truly knows about the world wars and what took place. He seems so confident he should be able to mop the floor with me, right?
Do you and the mods have any real life in case of fire plan when a chatter links a stream and talks about killing himself live? Didn't somebody do that in here like 3 nights ago? I didn't see any of that. Was that some good drama? What happened to the guy? The Holocaust industry, I thought that was just Finkelstein's book. I've never read this. I've never opened this book before. But isn't this his book talking about how Jews overplay the Holocaust so that we don't criticize them or something? Arguing that the American Jewish establishment exploits the memory of the Nazi Holocaust for political and financial gain and to further Israeli interests. According to Finkelstein, the Holocaust industry has corrupted Jewish culture and the authentic memory of the Holocaust. There's no way that Finkelstein argues that 6 million Jews didn't die in this or whatever, no? There's no shot. I feel like I would have heard of this. Sam lists 3 things he loves about America, including he fights for the U.S. because he loves the country and believes in it.
To what makes America great, like one of the only aspects of American society. There's 3 things. I was thinking about this in the shower earlier this morning. There's 3 major things that I can point to that are still good about the United States of America. Okay? Diversity is one of them. It's a major point. Diversity is a fucking major point. Diverse culture, better food, a better attitude overall. Okay, America's a profoundly diverse nation, and that's a good thing, okay? And it is only a diverse nation as a consequence of migration, okay?
Well, as a consequence of the U.S. Constitution and the American system and the institutions that we have set up here that facilitate it and make it possible and attractive for people to come here, but part of that is due to capitalism, by the way.
The other 2 good things are due process and some of the weirdly liberal quirks of our criminal justice system that ironically don't even exist in other OECD nations. You know, you're entitled to a lawyer. These are good things, right? You can't just be like unjustifiably detained for an extended period of time. These are good things that America still has. And last but not least, the First Amendment. And all 3 of these things are being ripped apart. The only good things about America are being fucking taken away. The last remainder of good things that America offers its citizens unfucking conditionally is now being taken away by this administration. And you got dumb fuck hogs that are championing this, that are like, no, hell yeah, finally, authoritarianism is here. I was waiting for it. Because why? Well, maybe it'll destroy my enemies. Maybe it'll destroy the people that I have designed as enemies in my mind. People that I'm just scared of. Thankfully, the government is packing these scary people up. It's disgusting. It's all...
Remember, guys, the Biden administration arrested 3,500 pro-Palestinian college students who did just that during the election cycle. They're just as bad.
It's also disgusting when you look at the situation. I'm a Californian. Okay, I've been living here for 12 fucking years at this point, right? I've been living in Los Angeles for 12 years in Los Angeles, California. Okay, it is one of the, with the exception of I guess like Istanbul and Ankara, it is the one place that I've lived in for the longest period of time in my life. Okay, I love the state. I love the city. There's many fucking problems. There's many issues, right? But I still love it because it's very diverse. It's incredible. It's great food, great weather. It's got it all. Okay. And I cannot comprehend how insane it is that an administration that has tremendous resentment for California, which is in and of itself as a state the 4th largest economy on the planet. Like it has a larger economy than fucking Germany. Okay, California as a state is the 4th largest economy on the planet. And an administration that is backed up by some of the most racist fucking pieces of shit on the planet, in the interest of serving some red meat to its most radical elements within its base, are taking these incredibly violent actions that rip apart the social fabric in California. And it is so hostile. Like it blows my mind how hostile these people are, who have never lived in California, who will never live in California, who will never live in Los Angeles, and they're looking at it from the outside going, hell yeah, this is what I voted for. It's like, fuck you, man. Fuck you. I'm not advocating when Brandon is president. I'm not advocating for them to come in and like sick the Gestapo on you for, I don't know, mudding or some shit, or wanting to shoot your guns, right? Like that's a fear that you have fantasized in your life. That is a fear that you have created in your mind. And that fear caused you to vote for the fucking Republican Party. And then the Republican Party turns around and goes, actually, we are going to use the federal government to destroy the social fabric of California. And you're like, hell yeah, that's right. That's great.
Wow.
Like, keep to your own fucking business, dude. What the fuck is this shit? It's so goddamn frustrating. This TikTok about living in LA and going to the protests is going viral. Yeah, I've seen this one too.
Fox News, she called me today. She said, "You need to get out of LA. LA is burning. Aren't you scared?" Meanwhile, this is what's going on in LA. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Keep in mind also, LA is a fucking huge place, guys. I actually can't draw LA, even though I kind of lived there for 3 years. But it's like, it stretches everywhere, whatever. But it's like, this is like LA, and the protests are like, I think they're like here. And people are like, LA is on fire! Ah! It's like when I was flying into Sweden with Melina, and I'm looking out the window expecting to see the whole country engulfed in flame.
Thank you. I got snacks. Sometimes people look at me crazy when I say I live in downtown LA. They're like, aren't you scared to live there? Tell me you don't get it without telling me you don't get it. Show me a city that shows up to defend its citizens the way LA shows up to defend its citizens.
This is also true, I think. Like, this is true every place. I feel stupid repeating this shit. This is so obvious. Like, there's no such thing as a city in America that's unsafe, truly, right? And like, I've been to Baltimore, I've been to DC, I've been to Detroit, I've been to Chicago. These are huge cities. There might be some places that are unsafe at certain times of the day, maybe, especially depending on what you're doing. But it's not like you come out of the airport in Detroit and it's like, here's a fucking slap on your vest, get your 45, and as soon as you leave the airport, it's like every man for himself. Like, these are huge places. I don't know.
The streets until ICE are out of our streets, ain't that right? ICE out of LA! ICE out of LA! Police in LA are overwhelmed. We gotta send in the Marines.
Even the fucking liberals that are like not even in Los Angeles, and I know they're not in LA because they're going, why are the brown people waving Mexico flags? It's like, bro, have you seen Los Angeles? Like, what the fuck do you mean? Why are the Mexican Americans waving Mexico flags in resistance against a fucking very clear racist act by the federal government that is...
I guess I don't even bother fighting this because I don't care. It's whatever. But I don't like the conflation of Mexican with like Hispanics that are in America that are American citizens. It feels weird. Like, Mexican is a nationality. I don't know what that has to do with the race technically, although they're using it as a proxy for race. But which I guess you can, but I don't know. But whatever, I guess.
Is targeting brown people. Of course they're gonna fucking wave Mexico flags. It's Los Angeles. What the fuck? Who gives a shit? What do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? It's not called the Angels. It's called Los Angeles. This shit's so fucking annoying. Oh, they need to wave more American flags. It's like, yeah, really? Is that what's gonna do it for you? Because clearly the acts from the Trump administration was not enough for you to say unconditional support to these people. You have to see American flags for your sensibilities to kick in? Get the fuck out of here. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is also unironically using that as a reason to be like, see, it's an invasion. It's a foreign invasion. It's like, dude, they're American, you fucking idiot.
But what did you just say?
They're American citizens. They're waving their heritage. Fuck your optics game. Holy shit. The fuck do you mean? What optics?
Marines, meanwhile, the police in LA. Pokemon Go playing motherfuckers got their McDonald's delivered.
Yeah.
Oh, finally. We got Katy Perry's take. You really don't think there are any truly dangerous cities in America? No. There is no such thing as a danger, like where the entire city is dangerous? No, that's not a real thing. Just people just exaggerate a little bit. I'm just saying this in the context of like you can say there are some cities that have like a higher per capita murder rate, or there are some cities with scary parts of it, which is true, that might be dangerous parts. But there's no like whole city where it's like just perspective, just saying perspective. Los Angeles, a place that literally began as El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora La Reina de Los Angeles de Portugal. Founded by Mexican settlers in 1781. This was once Mexican land, and the people being targeted today are often descendants of those who have lived here for generations. What are we talking about? What? What percentage of the Hispanic population in LA are like native there from the 1700s? Also, Mexican land from who? Like, wasn't this was, these were other European countries that were expanding, right? Wasn't it like Spain and I don't know who the fuck else? Like, these are all settler projects. Yeah, when did Mexico as a country even begin? Mexico. Wikipedia, give me the birth date. It was Mexican land at one point. It was probably massively uninhabited land. But I think all of this land is kind of like traded around a little bit, or was conquered and unconquered, and then the U.S. kind of spread west. And War of Independence in 1810. I don't know what it was called before then, though. Maybe it was like the big Mexican colony or something. I don't know. Are we going to end up with like fucking our own Mexican refugee Palestinian problem in the US where it's like, Jesus. The rightful owners of any land are the second most recent people to hold it. True.
Like there is nothing more American, and I mean this in a positive way, okay? Normally when I say something is American, it's a pejorative, but in this circumstance, there's nothing more American in the positive affirmation sense than being able to fucking wave the flag of the country of origin while you are here, okay? What are we talking about? What are we fucking talking about, dude? It's disgusting. If you take issue with foreign flags being flown at protests, go take that up with Israel, which is a fucking Nazi country doing an ethnic cleansing campaign.
Where did that come from? What? What does that have to do with any of this? What the fuck?
Mexico ain't doing all of that, all right? Where's the smoke for St. Patrick's Day parade, Oh, well, or where's the smoke for the Ukrainian protests? Oh, that's right, they're white, so it doesn't matter. It's not the kind of...
He does know that Russians are white as well, right? Like, there's white people on both sides of that, right?
A foreigner that we don't like in this country. To be fair, even with the Ukrainian one, people are starting to get agitated against that too because Donald Trump hates Ukraine too. It's so fucking stupid, but...
Oh, good that he 180'd on that, I guess, like 3 times.
Italian flags at the Italian Day Parade. It's an invasion. It's an invasion. I'll die on this hill. We're never going to reach their sensibilities. We need to raise the American flag so that the narrative can't be twisted in the media, which is what it's going to be.
Curious, what is the counter to people who argue that Ukraine joining the NATO is equivalent to the Cuban Missile Crisis? The counter argument is to make that the same. It would be like the Cuban Missile Crisis, except nuclear missiles were already in all of the other Caribbean island countries. We already have countries that border Russia. If we wanted to nuke Russia, we would just do it from fucking Estonia or whatever. Like this idea that we would desperately need Ukraine to put nukes in, like they're called ICBMs. The intercontinental, it means they go far, fly far.
They do it every time. No, dude. What happens every time is squishy liberals such as yourself actually fucking fall into the same trap. You get dominated by the right-wing framing. And you actually lean on the sensibilities of a third party that you do not know exists out there, okay? The idea that there is a guy out there who's like, I don't really like that they're deporting people that are simply waiting for their paperwork to be processed. And I think that's an inherently violent act, but I can't get myself to be on board with these fucking protests until they wave the American flag, until they wave the flag of the state that's doing that.
I don't know how we could ever produce evidence of our claims, but it's funny that he says that. I feel like there's a huge group of people out there that are exactly like that. I feel like there's a huge group of people who are like, I would super love to throw a ton of moral weight and popular support behind some cause, but I don't want to get roped into having to defend Gaza and trans 4-year-olds and every other, deconstructing ESG, DEI, everything else. Like, I just want to be able to. Oh, somebody linked me something. I think I watched this off stream, and I feel like I understood something a little bit more. Fuck. Pod Save America. I'm not gonna be able to fucking find it. I can't find anything. Why is it so hard for me to find fucking YouTube videos? I don't even know if it was Pod Save America. I think it was Pod Save America. Not this. This?
Huge amount of respect for anyone who goes to a protest. And
this. Okay. Jesus fuck.
huge amount of respect for anyone who goes to a protest, and especially the people who put their bodies on the line and physical safety on the line and their legal status on the line to be a part of a protest. But obviously there are smart and dumb ways to do it. We don't need to repeat that burning a Waymo is not smart, right? Just think to yourself, is Stephen Miller going to be delighted or unhappy about what I'm doing right now? And then, act accordingly. The one thing I just have noticed about protest movements, especially on the left over the last decade or so, is at some point it became an article of faith in progressive movements that every movement has to be about every one of a large bucket of issues. And I think it was a sort of a misunderstanding of the concept of intersectionality, which is a phrase that was coined in academic literature in the 80s about overlapping power structures that led to discrimination. But I think it's evolved to mean progressive organizations or movements think they have to talk about every one of a big bucket of issues because the issues are interconnected, even if the organization was founded to do one thing and not talk about another. And I think that is wrong. Like, I think if you need your movement to be focused on a specific outcome and designed to be as broad as possible to bring in as many people as possible. For example, the largest and most powerful movement to combat climate change should not force all the people who are a part of it to agree on Gaza. And the most effective movement to end the war in Gaza should include people on the left and like the isolationist right, like Thomas Massey, who agree on Gaza but disagree on climate change. And I think
are you referencing some of the Palestinian flags that we saw in these protests?
Yeah, like you just see different signage.
Like when I'm thinking of the signage and the flags, because I think I said this yesterday. I gotta figure this out. Like, I'm actually not opposed to these flags being there. It's just what they represent, and all of these things are exclusionary instead of inclusionary. Inclusory? Are those words? I don't know if either of those words are real. But if you see a march and there are a bunch of flags, and it's like, let's say that you're doing a march for women's rights, and you see LGBT flags, you see pro-Palestine flags, and you see Mexican flags, right? In an ideal world, you see this and you think, holy shit, we have a huge coalition of people here. All of us seem to agree broadly on women's rights, and there's like solidarity being shown with all these other movements. But it's not to show solidarity. What would happen is if you show up to that women's march and there's a guy with an LGBT flag, there's a person with a Gaza flag, and there's a person with a Mexican flag, what that means is that every single fucking person at that march better be ready to go from the river to the sea to pronoun circles and calling women birthing people instead of women, and acknowledging that like ICE and ACAB and the police all need to be deconstructed. Like, instead of it just being like, oh, look at all these other groups showing solidarity, it's like layers and layers of conditions that must be met in order to pass whatever, intersexually constructed purity test, the social group has decided to enforce on itself. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, I would just rather... So I think when I say because I think it's like 3 days ago, I was like, none of these flags should be here. It's so cringe. It's not entirely accurate. I don't think there's anything wrong with those flags being there. And I think intuitively I was feeling it's like, if you want to bring a flag, fine, but bring an American flag too, just so you can show. Because I think that what that would signal to me at least is that like, okay, there's other groups that have other issues, but they also support this one, and that's good. But every flag becomes like a new set of conditions that you have to pass.
And flags and representations of different issues pop up everywhere. And it just, I think people are probably doing it in good faith.
Read this Atlantic article. It talks about that in depth. Oh, the coming Democratic Civil War. I saw this, but then it was a 30-minute listen, so fuck that. Fuck that.
But it muddles the message, and it just gets plucked up by Fox News and right-wing organizations and coded as scary left. And like you said, like there's no controlling who attends a protest or what people say there, and we shouldn't pretend that we can try or act like we have to take ownership for over the comments from every asshole at a Democratic protest, because Republicans certainly don't own everything said at a MAGA rally. But it is frustrating.
Yeah, I think we can't control or do anything about, random anarchists, morons causing violence and chaos. And, we can plead with people to stop. When they get arrested for it, you say, yeah, of course they should be arrested if they're breaking the law, right?
Yep.
I think what happens is, like, if there isn't a...
Oh my God! I don't care. I don't even want credit for it, and I don't care. And I'm also, legitimately, they just might be figuring this out themselves, which is fine. I'm totally okay with it. I feel like he's about to stumble into the take ahead of... Oh my God, this is something I've realized so long ago. Because I'm like, why is everybody arguing about fucking trans 4-year-olds? Like, nobody supports this shit. The issue isn't how many people support it. The issue is how many people are willing to defend it and how many people are willing to disavow it. And those two things become a proxy for support. The issue isn't somebody saying, I have a 4-year-old trans kid. That's like nobody. The issue is all the Democrats that come out of the woodwork and are like, well, fuck, I mean, if they say that they're trans and 4, I mean, fuck me. What am I going to do? Be anti-trans? I guess, like, maybe. And now all of a sudden you've got like 10 million people defending this like once in a lifetime phenomenon of the 4-year-old trans kid. Like, what the fuck, guys? Come on. What are we doing? Why we're seriously getting baited into this? Like, stop. Call him a fucking retard and move on. It's that easy. Or take a fall guy. I'll be the Democrat fall guy. I'll call him retarded and we can all move on. Jesus. And before he says something completely different. And before he says the exact opposite of what I just said.
Causing violence and chaos. And, we can plead with people to stop. When they get arrested for it, you say, yeah, of course they should be arrested if they're breaking the law, right? I think what happens is, like, if there isn't a big, loud, organized, peaceful protest movement that is explicitly committed to nonviolence as not just a political strategy, but a moral imperative.
Oh, okay. He took the parallel track. Not saying that we have to necessarily disavow those people, but there has to be like an ultra visible, like, this is true. There needs to be like an ultra visible, this is the organizer, the person, this is the march, and then this is like spitting out like a fuck ton of positive propaganda, of pictures, of videos, of everything else. And these things do exist. They're just not it's not organized, or it doesn't feel that way at least. But maybe I haven't engaged with it enough. Maybe it is more organized than I realize. I just don't see it as much.
The vacuum is filled with what the right and Trump and all those people want to say the protests are about, and the more violent, chaotic protesters. And so part of this speaks for need for like us to, and everyone's been trying to build an opposition since Trump came back into power of like a real organized, peaceful protest movement. And you saw that today when you went down there, and we've seen that in other parts of the country, like throughout the last couple of months. It's starting to build, but this just, I think, highlights the need for it, because it's really hard to break through with a peace.
How do you start to convince progressives that pragmatism is more politically effective? For true progressives, it's very easy to convince them. You just point to harmed communities and you say we should do things to benefit these communities. The issue that you're having is people are still viewing us as being on a political, on a two-dimensional political axis, and we're not. Well, one-dimensional. Sorry, a line. Where you have in the middle, you have centrists. On the right, you have Republicans, and on the far right, you've got MAGA, and further right, you've got Nazis. And then on the left, you've got your center-left libs, and Democrats, and progressives, and then tankies or whatever. But that's not true. The people who are furthest on these axes, on this axis, they're not liberals. They don't believe in liberalism. They don't believe in things like it's so funny. Hassan was like, one of the most important things that America has is freedom of speech. But you heard him talk to Ethan when Ethan asked him, what would you do if people wanted to be capitalists in your society? He would throw them in re-education prisons and force them to be ideologically homogenous with the ML society, right? So like liberal, anti-liberal people don't belong on the same graph. They're not charted the same. It's one of the reasons why also sometimes although this hasn't happened as much recently, but sometimes the MAGA analysis fails. MAGA is not just a further right version of the neocon stuff. Trump is not a traditional Republican in any sense of the word, and he doesn't go further than Republicans on things. He veers off into a different axis. He veers off into the authoritarian world, or into the anti-liberal world, which is where the tankies and the MLs and the commies and the socialists all veer off there as well. You don't need those people as allies. Give somebody to rally around who's like a strong center-left figure. You have a strong base there. You just have to give them something to organize around and fight for.
peaceful, organized protest because it.
Found out I have stage 7 brain cancer today, then arrive home to find out I'm banned. Well, thanks, Test. Why are you banned?
This just, I think, highlights the need for it because it's really hard to break through with a peaceful, organized protest because it's not as exciting to cover, right?
Yep.
And the right certainly doesn't want to cover it, and
Yep.
Donald Trump doesn't want to acknowledge it, and neither does Stephen Miller or any of those people.
Yep.
But that just means that it has to be even bigger and even louder, and it has to, again...
Well, but the issue, too, the reason why there's no coverage is because lefties don't want to cover it. Nobody in the alternative media sphere, I think, it doesn't feel like there's much excitement out there to even cover those things, right? Like, who would amplify it? I need other big names, I guess. Who are other big names in this space and like the far lefty space? Because obviously Hassan wants to amplify the violent types. That's who I see in my world. I don't browse TikTok as much. What are the other? AOC? AOC is like disavowed by these people at this point. I don't know if I would call her like a far left.
I'm very...
Oh, we listened to this already yesterday. The fuck is that noise? Wait. I think it's my neighbors. Kalinsky? Oh God, what are Kalinsky's takes on everything?
You have to repeat over and over again that nonviolence is the strategy here, right? Because you're right that the civil rights movement, a lot of that was not very popular when it was happening. But by the time you get to Selma, and there was incredible violence visited upon the protesters at Selma, but because they believed in nonviolence as a strategy, they did not fight back. Polls taken right after Selma showed people overwhelmingly, including white people, a plurality of white people, on the side of the protesters at Selma, not on the side, and that's what actually turned it. Now,
yeah, keep in mind, there's a lot of young white people today, and I guess some radical black people who try to argue that the only reason civil rights worked was because of violence. So they've like rewritten history to suit their narrative as well. But
that took a long time, but like it requires a level of discipline that I think we have not had to maintain yet.
Well, I think part of it too is the answer, right, is, oh, you think that these protests need to be bigger and they need to have a more clear, nonviolent message, and that needs to be obvious that it represents the vast majority of people participating. You're not going to get that by posting about it or beseeching people online. You got to show up. And the protest I was at today, far bigger than any of the more violent demonstrations. It was a bunch of different people. And also, by the way, the message was very clear. It was about freeing a man who represented the kind of overreach that the Trump administration was demonstrating in the raids it conducted over the weekend and in the arrest and the deploying of the National Guard and now the Marines. But the way...
Was it about somebody local to LA, or was it Abrego Garcia? Or
we show that this movement is largely peaceful, nonviolent, with specific goals and aims, is for everyone to come be a part of it and show just by numbers. And so, like, what I hope comes over the next, this is what we're seeing right now is, I think, the first phase of how we kind of respond.
Destiny, the re-educating capitalist thing is not actually Hassan's perspective. I think it just came off wrong from his dumbass wording. He was saying that with better education, there will not be much support for a capitalist party. No, you're dead wrong. Go back and re-listen to that clip. That is not what he was saying. That's a huge quote.
To Trump. It is a mix of protest as awareness raising, as demonstrating power and community, and also about specific practical actions to slow or stop the administration and what it's trying to do. And we just have to keep building that muscle. I think the unions are going to be central to this. I think it's really powerful when you see people just saying stop arresting workers when it's about people's jobs, whether they're undocumented or not, whether they're in the union or not. These are not criminals. These are neighbors. These are people just showing up to get work. I think that's really powerful. It's powerful when the leader of the building trade spoke out on behalf of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And I think we got to figure out how to let those unions and those moments kind of become a nexus where more and more people feel obligated to show up and participate.
Yeah, and know what you're getting yourself into, right? Like you one challenge with these immigration raids, and this is different than shipping people off to CCOT without a trial, is the president has broad authority to detain and ultimately deport people who are undocumented. And you also can get arrested if you impede federal law enforcement, including ICE agents, from carrying out their operation. And this is how they're getting people. This is what they're charging David Huerta with, some other people. So you stand in front of a building that ICE is trying to raid, like you're going to get arrested for that, and they do have the authority to do that. So, there's peaceful protests. There's a whole good reason for them to be peaceful, but unless you want to be arrested because it's civil disobedience, you should.
Which is fine. I think that's a form of, I don't know if you would call that violence or not, but I think that's a totally acceptable form of protesting. You probably are going to get arrested, but I mean, that's part of the protest, right?
Know what you're getting into.
The other part of it too is, if you go back to the protest of the Iraq War in 2003, there are like a whole range of messages, I'm sure some of which would have been seen as incredibly unpopular. You're at a protest today, it's a mix of people saying, uphold the Constitution, abolish ICE, get ICE out of LA, whatever kind of, it's just going to be a wide range of messages, some good, some, less polling well, whatever the fuck. But what you really need is for the leaders and organizations all to kind of have a clear set of goals that they're kind of rallying around, and that becomes the kind of the middle of the message.
Do you think Glendale canceling the contract with ICE had something to do with the Waymo cars getting burned? I don't know why that's even a big deal. When I was in Glendale, I was like, fucking, isn't that city like 70% Armenians? Like, are there even illegal immigrants in Glendale? It's just, I feel like it's a super nice city. I don't know, but it's been a while.
That, and there are people on other sides of it saying all kinds of stuff, but there needs to be a clear kind of tentpole goal.
It's also, that's the more important conversation to be having on social media and through the press, because it is both frustrating and sort of funny that, like, people who are listening to us right now...
I feel like 90% of the protesters just want clout or some shit. That's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. We just have to align the clout with the political action, with the political goal. Like, if the goal is we're having a largely peaceful protest, or it can even be like a civil disobedience protest to block some ice gate or whatever, and you want to be part of that protest, and you've got like clear, actionable things. ICE needs to leave California, the National Guard needs to disband, or Trump needs to give it back to Newsom or whatever. Like, if you want to go and show up for clout and take pictures of it, fine. Who the fuck cares? That's fine. I think having the interests aligned there is perfectly a-okay. If you were to have like a Mr. Beast, selfie event where you had to show up in Seattle, and like in order to get a selfie with Mr. Beast, you have to prove that you gave like $50 to a homeless guy. Who the fuck? I don't think the homeless guy gives a fuck if he gets $50 or not. Like, it's okay if like the interests are aligned. Like that's good clout. Like, what are you even saying at that point? What is clout? Clout is saying I want like attention for something. Like, okay, well, if we can find like a good thing for you to get attention for, I think that's great. That's fine. Yeah, that's good clout. You want people to have that kind of clout.
People who are reading pieces in the Atlantic and the New York Times on social media, they're probably not the people who are lighting the Waymos on fire. Right. So when everyone's giving warnings to like, we must be peaceful and don't do this, it's like, yeah, everyone you're talking to is good. And the people who are lighting the Waymos on fire probably aren't like looking through the Atlantic at the latest piece about how we're giving Trump everything he wants.
Have you heard in the Daily? Put that Molotov cocktail away.
Again, apple bomb stands, I think.
Also, by the way, like there's all this like, wave the American, people on Twitter saying wave the American flag, don't wave the Mexican flag. It's like, fine. But like, you're at these protests, there's a whole bunch of flags. They're American flags, they're Mexican flags. And like, it is fucking like, people should be proud of being Mexican and want America to be a great place that it is their home. It's like, it's all a little bit like.
But again, it's like, I see that on Twitter, people are like, oh, the Mexican. Like, what do you want Democrats to do about it? You want to go to the protest, rip the Mexican flags out of people's hands and stick it in America? Like, we can't organize. Like, what are you talking about?
You can be proud to be Mexican in America.
Yeah,
you can be proud to be Jewish. You can be proud to be whatever you want to be.
All right, Irish people in Boston.
Yeah. Today's presenting sponsor is Simply Safe Homes.
I mean, that's true. Just bring more American flags as well. Maybe they're a lot out there in other parts and I'm just not seeing it. XQC shitting on Newsom without knowing any. Wait, what? 6/22/20. No shot. Come on, don't do this.
Jeez. Anyway.
I want to go in and listen to Governor Gavin Newsom.
What's happening right now is very different than anything we've seen before. On Saturday morning, when federal agents jumped out of an unmarked van near a Home Depot parking lot, they began grabbing people, a deliberate targeting of a heavily Latino suburb. A similar scene played out when a clothing company was raided downtown. In other actions, a U.S. citizen, 9 months pregnant, was arrested. A 4-year-old girl taken. Families separated.
Hold on. Just as a real quick thing, because you fucking retards keep saying this. You're literally giving up to the demands of people who are waving the Confederate flag. For some reason, there are only two parties that you guys are considering. You're considering the far left crazy people, and then you're considering the conservatives. And when I'm telling you, don't give in to these weird far left crazy fucking people because the conservatives are weaponizing it, you're pretending like I'm saying you should only fly American flags to hedge off those two people. No, there's a third party that you should care about, which are a whole bunch of people that are ideologically aligned with you and agree with you and want to be there for that and support that, which should be the majority of America, at the very least the majority of the Democratic Party. Those are the people that you should be trying to appeal to. And having, retards saying on cars that are being set on fire, or, just saying fuck the USA and fuck Gavin Newsom and all this, that's not it. I'm not saying that you should just be trying to avoid bad PR from the conservatives. That's a part of it. But you also want to have a lot of good PR for your own side, so that you energize people to come and they feel proud to be a part of a movement that is actually has an actionable goal and means something and represents their values and isn't just some weird social fucking purity test game by hardcore lefties or whatever.
Friends quite literally disappearing. In response, everyday Angelenos came out to exercise their constitutional right to free speech and assembly, to protest their governments.
Are those things true? Is that true?
Is what? Wait.
4-year-old girl taken. Families separated. Friends quite literally disappearing.
What does he think the impetus for all the protests are?
In response, everyday Angelenos came out to exercise their constitutional right to free speech and assembly, to protest their governments.
Are those things true? Is that true? Also, it doesn't say was that person like all clear? Are they like
actions
in the right?
In turn,
Yo,
the state.
yo, I'm telling you, if the people that were actually arrested and they were there for, and that they got not interferes or whatever, right? Actually, not guilty of anything at all, and it comes down to it, yo, I will go tooth and nail against all this shit. It'll matter. Yo, I'm not kidding. It'll radicalize me on God. I'm not even just saying that. I'm just saying that. Like, if all the things were like wrong from the get-go, I will swap sides. Not that there's really a side, but yeah.
Of California and the city and county of Los Angeles sent our police officers.
I mean, what does he think the Trump admin is like losing all the court cases for and everything? Like TROs and shit, but...
to help keep the peace. And with some exceptions,
45 months
they were
and
successful.
chat still has
Like
zero
many
bitches.
states, California is no stranger to this sort
So
of
if you want to show me.
We manage it regularly and with our own law enforcement. But this, again, was different. What then ensued was a use of tear gas, flashbang grenades, rubber bullets. Federal agents detaining people and undermining their due process rights.
Wait, is he live now? Fuck, I don't...
Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders.
He said what? About what?
Chat has at least one
Federal
bitch
agents
somewhere.
detaining gas, flashbang grenades, rubber bullets. Federal agents detaining people and undermining their due process rights.
Undermining their due process. That is due process.
Donald Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's
Being detained is due process. What? Are you fucking stupid?
Guard members to deploy on our streets illegally and for no reason. This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our officers, and even our national...
If you get pulled over, right? If you get pulled over, you're not free to go. You're detained. You're detained. Like, is this part of your due process? It absolutely is. It's part of the process that you have to go through. You're detained. I mean, I'm confused. It's not, bro. Am I like brain rotted here or what?
Guard at risk. That's when the downward spiral began. He doubled down on his dangerous National Guard deployment by fanning the flames even harder. And the president, he did it on purpose. As the news spread throughout LA, anxiety for family and friends ramped up. Protests started again. By night, several dozen lawbreakers became violent and destructive.
This is this guy's city. Everybody's already molding. They can't make fucking ends meet in this stupid piece of shit fucking city that he owns. Dog shit.
So just obviously Newsom is the governor of the state. I don't remember the name of the mayor. Something Bass? Karen Bass. It's Bass, right? It's not Bass, is it?
Garbage ass salary and cost of life. People can't even go to work anymore because people on the streets. And he's out there fucking yapping like a bitch ass. What a loser. Dude, what a waste of fucking time this guy is. Jesus Christ, man.
They tried to
Awful
assault police officers. Many of you have seen the video.
Is this just, is this just like a rage bait segment, or I can't tell? Is it just retarded? I don't even know. Is this a bit or?
Video clips of
that is
cars
crazy
burning on cable news. If you incite violence, I want to be clear about this. If you incite violence or destroy our communities,
this guy,
you're going to be held to account.
Half of the chat gets
that kind of
politically
behavior will
influenced
not
by
be
this
tolerated.
streamer,
Full stop.
by the way.
Already more than 220 people have been arrested, and we're reviewing tapes to build additional cases, and people will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Again, thanks to our law enforcement officers and the majority of Angelenos who protested peacefully, the situation was winding down and was concentrated in just a few square blocks downtown. With that, that's not what Donald Trump wanted. He again chose escalation. He chose more force. He chose theatrics over public safety.
Oh!
He federalized another 2,000 Guard members. He deployed more than 700 active U.S. Marines. These are the men and women trained for
What I was saying is that it was only 4 blocks wide of a protest, and it was going to stop. What we're saying is that the protest was over. People were about to go home. If they didn't get,
Didn't you just say the other month
if
you
the
like
cops
LA
didn't show
or want
up,
to
they
move
were
back
just
again?
they were about
Close
in the
your
next minute.
Discord
They were about to go
message
home.
with Asmund takes some
foreign
bra.
Dude.
combat, not domestic.
What was I
law
thinking?
enforcement. We honor their
XQC,
service. We
what's
honor
persona?
their bravery. But we do not want our streets militarized by our own armed forces. Not in LA, not in California, not anywhere. We're seeing unmarked cars in school parking lots, kids afraid of attending their own graduation. Trump is pulling a military dragnet all across Los Angeles, well beyond his stated intent to just go after violent and serious criminals. His agents are arresting dishwashers, gardeners, day laborers, and seamstresses. That's just weakness masquerading as strength. Donald Trump's government isn't protecting our
Deploying the military on our citizens is insane. How are you defending that?
Oh, because I don't wait. Bro.
Are there any large center lefters on Twitch? Or is Twitch politics just the tanky crowd under Hassan? And then I guess Asmongold and whatever XQC is. Because they're saying Hutch. Doesn't Hutch get like 600 viewers? Or what is... $300 viewers? Oh, there's like, I feel like there's no moderate, like XQC might be center right, maybe? There's no like center left voice at all, I guess? Or a large one, I guess? Okay. Oh, Atrioc. Yeah, but I feel like Atrioc, God bless him and I love him, tries to stay away from heavily political things. He is more like finance, economics, world stuff, kind of. And tries not to be explicitly political. Wait, what is this guy sending me a voice note for? Hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait, I mean, can we call on Discord? Did he want to do this whole thing on voice notes? Can you let me see?
Oh shit, you can.
Oh, hey, what's up? Wait, you know I'm live streaming, right? Just...
Huh?
I'm live streaming, right? Like my stream is live and all that?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Oh yeah, okay, just making sure. All right.
All right.
Okay, do you want to, or wait, I'm supposed to introduce people. Fuck, I haven't learned this yet. You reach out to me from your TikToker guy, SimpleBlackTheory, right?
Yes.
Okay. I have no idea what you want to talk about though. Somebody said you wanted to chat, and then you emailed me, and I said let's chat. What's up?
Yeah, it was more involved with the conversation that you had with Santana or anything. I don't think the conversation is not me trying to get at you or anything. I think it'd be a good fluent conversation when we talk about the left and it comes to canceling each other and stuff like that. I feel like the conversation between you and I could actually be super influential, if that makes sense.
Okay, sure. Yeah, what do you want to talk about specifically, I guess?
So I know there was one clip that you mentioned, and the question was from 1 through 10, quantifying, let's say Z's microaggression, how we would label that. And I believe Santana had a hard time trying to voice the idea of you can't quantify it. Where I do agree with you with the fact that maybe certain things that happen shouldn't get as much what's the word I'm looking for? Audience shouldn't get a big audience determining on the movement like Z having her microaggression. I honestly don't think that it should have gotten so much attention than it should. But I also believe that we have to be relative to the ideas of people doing these type of things, because then it can easily happen again, and if not be worse. So I do think the understanding is, when something like this has happened, we should point it out and it being a teaching method instead of it being like, oh, a cancel thing, which I think the left has the problem. They're trying to do like a super virtue or idealistic thing of what the left should be, which is impossible. And I think that reason is because they believe that we all have the same ideas. But when you bring all leftists together, we all don't have the same ideas. And I think that's the problem. Once you realize that someone don't have the same idea, then you start to think maybe they're not as sane as me. They're not like me, so therefore they must be the enemy. And that deteriorates the left, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think I necessarily disagree. The teaching moment thing I think is important. Like if somebody fucks up or if somebody says or does something dumb, There's a lot of stuff that could just be solved with literally a simple message, like, "Hey, you did or said a thing, like, it kind of sucks for this reason." Like, you just like make somebody aware of that. And I feel like assuming the person is on your side, which I think most people who were involved in that were roughly on the same side politically, maybe. That should be like a very easy thing to do. But instead, everything becomes this huge meta blow up. And it's not even about the thing. It becomes about the response to the thing. And then it becomes about the response to the response to the response to the thing. And by the time it's like 2 levels removed, nobody even knows what's actually being spoken about anymore. And then events are being destructed because of these meta conversations that are evolving on TikTok for no good reason, I think.
And you know what? And you put up a good thing. I think TikTok in itself is not a great place for people to have conversations like this, because if we be honest, TikTok is a place where people try to make money. So we do these live stream. People always trying to do your gotcha moment, trying to get as much people to enter their live stream. So when it comes to this, we have a more volatile state in this conversation. Not saying that the individuals in the stream or in the live was trying to gain more people to enter, but what we know, when there's people watching and you're having a conversation, emotions get erupted, and both sides can have that emotion and things can go left real quick. So I think like having discussions on live about with certain things and it goes left, I think it's unfair, because in real life I think the conversation would have been completely different. And I think that's the problem that I have with most people, because when it comes to like, all right, so obviously we live in a day and age where technology is so advanced, and now we can do things that other activists cannot do, or other people who speak about these things cannot do. We can reach millions of billions of people through the internet, and because of that, it becomes a more dangerous place for people to speak in, because when mistakes are made, it's made in front of hundreds of thousands of people, which makes more people more volatile into speaking out, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So and sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, I feel like what do you think? Wait, so do you think we disagree on anything, or are we just?
Well, so, and that's why I was trying to really figure it out. I think where the disagreement lies is the idea that what Z did can be seen as a minute thing, because it can be extremely dangerous in that sense. And the only reason why I say that was because if we look at the microaggressions with Z, if let's just say it hasn't been pointed out, right, or let's just say it was pointed out in a meager way, that there's a high % chance that she would have had that same what's the word I'm looking for, not attitude,
Well, let's let's get to the actual thing that she did in a second. But before that, things can be minute things and can build into larger things. We have to have the language to describe things. We can't say that every single thing is the worst thing, because a small thing can become the worst thing, right?
That's true.
Like microaggression literally has micro built into the phrase. Like, so it definitionally it's a small thing.
Well, but in that same sense, we can also agree that some, like you said, microaggressions in itself can be a big thing, and it's also the symbol of that. Because you can easily have a microaggression towards, like, for instance, my girlfriend. I can say, hey, you can start cooking for me, and in sense, that's a microaggression, making a joke, but it does stem from something that's actually a horrible thing. So microaggressions, yes, they can be micro, but they represent something huge at the end of the day.
Sure, everything conceptually is big. I mean, concepts can take up a lot of space. I'm just saying we have to create a vocabulary to talk about things appropriately, right? Like, let's say that you made that joke to your girlfriend, and let's say that you think that that's a problematic joke and it represents something problematic. There's a difference between you making that joke versus you telling her to cook some food for you, and then if she doesn't, you're going to go upside the head with a brick and beat the shit out of her until she's barely breathing because she didn't cook for you, right? We can't say that these two things are both huge problems. We have to have different adjectives to describe the scale of the difference between these two actions, even if both of them might come conceptually from a neighboring or similar place, right?
So, I do agree in a sense in the levels of what you're speaking of, but in that same tone, like you said that that concepts in itself can be big, and microaggression. Like, for instance, I feel like an individual throwing a brick in a house and breaking glass can be as damaging as someone who's probably that's not a good example because it won't be the same. damn, I can't even figure out the words exactly to say, because I do agree in the idea of certain things being bigger than the other. But the thing is that microaggressions can be easily dismissed, and that's the world we live in. That's the problem that we have. Because for instance, even me, when Z did that, I low key did dismiss the idea, although it's only because
Sure,
I
that
was
can be.
low-key so-
I understand that can be an issue with microaggressions. That doesn't change what I'm saying at all, though, right? Would you rather live in a world where everybody microaggresses, or would you rather live in a world where black people get randomly lynched?
But that's the thing. Microaggression in itself can cause that. The
If you
thing
had to
is,
choose one or
cannot-
the other, if you
that
had to
world in
choose,
itself,
if you had to choose,
that's impossible to choose. That
well,
world
keep-
is one.
Well,
because
but
in order for
no,
that
no, no.
microaggression,
Look at your causal link is backwards. What did we have first, microaggressions or slavery?
slavery, but guess what? It built microaggression. So you cannot have the microaggression without the slavery to happen. That's like making microaggression patriarchy without patriarchy.
Yeah, but that's
existing.
good.
It
It's
would have to exist.
that it's bad as it is. That represents progress, right? Like a scar isn't the best thing in the world, but a scar is better than a bleeding wound, right? So a scar is a wound that is it's at least healed to some extent. Like
I disagree because in itself,
Hold on, wait.
that's
You disagree
also-
that a scar is better than an open wound?
No, I disagree. You calling it a score?
Hold on, wait.
Because
Do you think that
before-
a scar is better than an open wound? We have to agree on something. Is a scar better than an open bleeding wound?
No. It is. Excuse me. Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Is it better if you have a society full of microaggressions or a society full of like lynching and slavery?
So I will go with the first option than the latter. But this is why I'm saying that you're conflating, because it is impossible to say that there's two separate worlds when we talk about reality. You're making a whole new world where in the world that we live in, or we talk about this exact world, it is impossible to have these microaggressions without these microaggressions stem from something. You even said earlier that these are concepts. These concepts are bigger than we're talking about when we talk about these microaggressions. But again, these microaggressions came from this huge concept, which is the lynching of black people.
Sure, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but these are like steps on the way to a better world, right? Like calling somebody out for microaggressing is a better world than taking somebody to court for lynching, and it's a better world than not being allowed to go to court because you're not human because you're a slave, which is a better so it's all in steps in a better direction, right?
Right, but it also leads a domino effect. So let's just say I make that joke towards my girlfriend and she says something, right? That's a learning experience, but we're all humans and we understand that learning in itself is going to take a while. So there's a good chance that I'm going to make this step again and again and again. And at this point, we have to ask the question, when are we going to take this microaggression seriously? Because again, we understand that all white people do have internal racism because of the system that's built into that. It's not even saying that being racist in itself is a bad thing. It's a label that
Well, what is that when we say everyone has? I mean, like, do you think that all black people have racism built into them?
No, of course not.
Wait, why?
Because of the system in itself. See, the thing is, what we need to understand is that.
Wait. Wait. When you say that all white people have racism built into them, what definition of racism are we using, and what do we mean by that?
Well, so so first we have to understand that racism in itself is a social construct, meaning that society created the idea. We also have to understand is that the individual also controls the idea of that social construct, meaning that my definition might not be the same as yours. Just
Yeah, that's
like
why I'm
gender.
asking. That's why I'm just asking. What is your definition of racism?
So my definition of racism is basically the idea that a system that you benefit from a certain system. So you benefit from so basically a system that oppresses one race over the other. That's my definition of racism. Because you benefit from this system, that automatically makes you racist. But it is a label that the system has given you because you are able to benefit from my oppression. White privilege is literally just black people being oppressed. The reason why you have privilege is because you have a higher risk of not being unalived by a police officer than I do, even if we do the same crime. So this is why I say
Okay, wait. So then when you say, so you're, if there was a black man and he made a sexist joke towards his black girlfriend, since black women have a higher class right now or are ascending to a higher class.
All black men are misogynoir. All black men have misogynoir.
Well, but like, couldn't black men argue that, well, actually black women, because they on it and they aggregate, at least I think in younger demographics, are making more money than black men that black men can't be misogynistic towards black women because now they have like more systemic privilege or whatever than them, or
Not true, because in that same system, it automatically disproportionately affects black men to not even graduate. Black men are more likely to be to not reach a certain age as black women. We also know that black men are going to be expelled at a higher rate than black women. So we have these things that contradict itself. So while yes, you can make that argument, there's other contradictions that doesn't make that argument valid.
okay, can any non-white demographic in the U.S. be racist, or is it only whites?
So it's only white, and when we talk about race, like, and whiteness in itself doesn't matter when it comes to nationality or ethnicity in itself. Like a German person who has a white skin complexion would be considered white. So yes.
Okay, so
all
like
white
I'm just
people-
curious. So like if a Hispanic person calls a black person the N-word, what would we describe that action as?
If that Hispanic person is an Afro-Hispanic,
No, like
they're
a
black.
super Hispanic, like a brown, looks Mexican. Nobody would ever think he's like black.
And this is what's the difficulty. And again, race in itself is subjective and it's based on phenotype. So if that individual has black skin, you said brown.
I said like not black, not. I know what you're. I'm just saying you look at him and people would clearly identify this guy as a Hispanic, not Afro, not like African American, like a Hispanic person, like a super Hispanic person. And he calls a African American person who looks much darker and everything. He calls him the N-word.
That's prejudice.
But not racism. What kind of
prejudice?
But not racism.
No, and a lot of people do have the idea that prejudice and racism are the same thing. Well, theoretically, we know that prejudice came first, then race in itself. And prejudice was literally having having negative ideas towards someone based on a certain group. And now people are trying to use the idea of racism to attract it to having hatred towards a certain race. But again, it's very subjective, and this is argumentative, so it can go both ways. But I do believe that the idea of prejudice and the idea of racism are two completely different things.
Gotcha. If a black person calls a Middle Eastern person like a sand N-word, is that racism or is that just prejudice?
That would be prejudice. But I don't want people to have the understanding that prejudice and racism can't be an equal playing field. They can definitely be an equal playing field when we talk about America. But when we talk about like racism with white people in itself, the idea is that the system that was created was created for the benefit of white people. And when we talk about the benefit of white people, it automatically oppresses black people. So when we talk about that idea of racism, it does have a stronger tone than if a black person calls a Middle Eastern person a sand N-word, or I could say nigga because I'm black. But regardless of the fact, that'd be prejudice, which is a big problem, and it does affect that individual's ethnicity. But I wouldn't call it racism.
Okay, and then what if
I'm black, so I could say it.
What if a white person goes to like a black majority African nation and calls somebody the N-word there in another nation? Would it not be racism there since they have a different power structure, or?
So, and that's a good question. So in that self, then I would say that the definition of racism can change in itself. I do think when we talk about the racism I'm talking about specifically, it would have to be the hierarchy of white people. But if you go to a black country, majority black, and white people are oppressed, which we don't know, there's no country that's doing that, then we can make the argument that black people are being racist in that country. And when we look at the social construct of racism, it is the hatred of one race or the dislike of another race. So
Do you think that your definition or your use of the words racism or prejudice here, do you think that this stands in contrast to how the majority of people use these words in the USA?
No, not entirely.
You think that most people would agree with the idea that like only white people can be racist?
Well, majority of Americans, majority of people in America are white, so it would be difficult for them to accept that idea. So it won't be far-fetched for them to not accept that idea. But and I do understand that. But this is why we also have to make the understanding that when we talk about racism and when we talk about inherent racism shouldn't have the same stigma as calling someone who is perpetually giving racism. Because when we acknowledge, first of all, we both can agree that in order to fix the problem, you have to acknowledge the problem. So if we can have white people acknowledge that, yes, I do have inherent racism, then we can fix it. And that also gives black people an understanding that, well, white people will show microaggression. So that's up to the black individual. Can they handle it or should they, deter from it? And this is a conversation that we should be having.
Wouldn't it be better? Why can't we just use words like systemic racism or systemic privilege? Wouldn't that just be simpler for everybody? Like trying to convince the average person, the average white person, by the way, you're racist, just so you all know, all of you are racist. Wouldn't it be easier to say like, hey, all of you benefit from a system that, you know, prejudice against non-whites historically? Like, wouldn't that be a pretty easy thing that most people, or at least most people on the left, could buy into, as opposed to trying to get everybody to acknowledge that they're racist?
Yes, I do agree with that idea of using the term systemic racism and not inherent racism. But the problem with that is that a lot of people, they will like to deflate the idea of systemic racism and make racism a whole thing on its own. Because when you say racism, no one says systemic racism, although systemic racism focuses on the system in itself. So when you talk about racism, people try to change the ideas of it, then saying that, oh, you can only be racist if you do da 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 da, or if you do
Well,
da 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 da.
I feel like that's important though, because I feel like systemic racism is a much different thing, right? Like you could theoretically have a society that has like systemic racism where none of the individual people are actually acting in a racist manner. And I think it's important for people to understand that, no?
Well, so the thing is, systemic racism basically it is the idea of there's laws that's embedded, and that's the idea of systemic racism, is that there's laws embedded that benefit white people and not black people. But when we talk about things like police pulling people over, that's not systemic. That is systemic racism, because they are using a certain law to do that, which is Warren v. U.S. But we also have to understand that cop that pulled that person over was solely because that person was black, and that had nothing to do with the system and had everything to do with the inherent racism that the system has built. And that's the idea that we have to give. Because systemic racism, again, it focuses on the laws in itself being inherently racist to black people. And we can name a few things, but when we talk about inherent racism, it's the individual who's doing racist practices without noticing it, which is completely different.
Okay. Okay, on the particular event, what exactly was the microaggression from Z?
So before I start, I would like to say that I do believe that both parties were in the wrong, and I do think the way it was handled was very mismanaged, and I think Peyton was very wrong in there. Although, free Peyton, hope he gets out soon. What I would say was the microaggression there was that Z was basically making statements that in the individuals in the chat, they didn't know what they were doing, which in my opinion, I don't see it as microaggression, because if you looked at the full chat, the whole conversation in itself was both parties trying to defend themselves. And I'm gonna be honest, if I was in Z's position, I would have said, I'm not gonna say no nut shit, but she didn't say no nut shit in my opinion. I do think that she was defending herself, and people see it as microaggression because of the system that we have. So I don't see it as microaggression. People might be upset with that idea, but I do think that both parties were in the wrong when it came to the conversation that was happening.
Sure, but people aren't upset that both sides are in the wrong. People are upset because they're saying Z acted in like an insanely racist way from some microaggression. I guess my question is there any way for a white person to ever criticize a black person online, or will that always be a microaggression?
Well, that's the internet in itself. The way the internet is pushed is that you're gonna there's no way you can have a fluent conversation on the internet without it going to there. In fact, before Z went in there, I made that warning telling her, if you get in there, it's only going to go left, because in TikTok, again, it's a website. If you want to Google a unicorn snake, you can find a unicorn snake. So it's not crazy to see a white woman enter a chat full of black people and she say something like, you guys haven't organized. When you look in the history of that does sound wrong, but you need context, and that's the problem. Doing live is almost like texting somebody. I can give you something and I can mean it in one way, but you're going to misinterpret it a whole other way. And that's the problem. So when it comes to these conversations, it's literally having to tread lightly on these conversations, especially when it comes to activism or even getting voters. You have to be very careful.
Do you think from just from a white side, like I'm just being super honest, this like if this was the set of rules in every place, I would just never ever include any black people in any organizing, because this sounds way too insanely stressful to even keep track of. That like if I've got a group of black people and a group of white people, like if the white people are fucking up and I'm like, you guys are fucking up, like you need to get your shit together, like this is fucked, like you guys need to calm down and figure your shit out. If I say that exact same thing to a group of black organizers, I run the risk of being branded a racist and kicked out, because saying that they fucked up is white privilege and saying that they need to get their shit together is a microaggression, and this seems like not even worth. Like I feel like nobody would ever want to work in these spaces. Well, I mean, we already see the one thing explained.
I disagree. I think the idea of the internet culture in real life is being meshed incredibly. I do think that when you do it online, it does leave you more vulnerable for people to throw anything at you again, because that's the internet. People hey, there's no way you can enter it. And for instance, for Z, when Z entered there, it was automatically seen as a debate. It was not trying to understand or learn anything. And when you do debates online, it causes that. But I think in person is completely different. I mean, I'm a black individual. If I'm fucking up, someone tells me that. I understand that. This is why. I mean, let's look at work. You
Yeah,
don't
wait,
think
but
black
real quick. I think it's fine for people to fuck up, and people will fuck up. And I think you agree with that. And I fuck up still. Like it happens. Like people mess up. The problem is it being there's like a couple steps that are happening that make this really bad. Is that one, it's assumed that the fuck up was racist, and then two, that leads to people assuming that the fuck up came from a racist place, and then three, it basically developed into the essentializing of like racism with a particular person, such that everybody was going to leave the movement unless that person left. And all of this came from an initial interaction that it sounds like even you agree wasn't even a microaggression, had nothing to do with race at all. People were just like angry and like shouting at each other, which people do sometimes, especially when.
I agree.
Just kidding, that was microaggression. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I disagree with the one part, but what I would have to say is that's how the internet is. Let's be honest. When you have multiple people there at once, there are different people, so everyone's going to react different. This is why I think as leftists or even people who's trying to do things, you can't have all the information or even have these conversations online, or you have to be very careful of what you said online. Because again, the only reason why Z is in this situation is because Z entered a situation where everyone knew it was not going to go well. So, and that's why I think that a lot of people are conflating. And what you're saying is valid, because when we talk about left and left movements, a lot of people have to move in pins and needles and won't be able to make mistakes because of these individuals. But this is why I do think that you should have a closed circle and have this conversation outside of online. Because let's say you and I was working on something and I did fuck up. If you tell me I fuck up, 99% of the chance, I'm not going to say that you're being racist unless it's being something racist being taught. But this is why it's a lot more higher if we do it online. Like, for instance, you made the joke about women. We both know it was a joke, right? We both know that. But there's going to be people there that's not going to see it as a joke and now are going to go against it. This is how easy it is to do it online. This is why conversations in certain ways shouldn't be online.
This is I guess what I would wish, and I like, you're a content creator, I'm a content creator. This is what I wish that people would push. Okay, so I make jokes that I'm sure in your guys' crowds, a lot of, even sometimes I would say maybe they're problematic. I think that it would be nice if people could view that as, okay, well, here's Destiny. This guy makes jokes sometimes and they're not the best. It's kind of problematic. Some of these might be, whatever, it's not the best. And like, that's it. But it can't be that for some reason. It has to be that like, this person is racist. This person is sexist. This person hates women. This person hates minorities. It's like, Jesus, there's like no scale. It kind of goes back to the beginning of like, a microaggression is better than like a macroaggression, like a racist action, right? Like, and it is, even if it's still bad. And it feels like we just don't have the language sometimes to just have a granular understanding of how bad some things are sometimes. Like by the end of that whole Z thing, when that was going on, in the beginning, I was looking for her calling somebody the N-word. I thought that she went fucking wild or was on some crazy making fun of people for some like insanely black stereotype shit. And I think I spent hours listening through and it's like, is this it? She just said that like, why you like stop being loud, you guys are shouting over me. And then that's where it all came from. Like what? Like even if we say that Z made a mistake there, the accountability or her being made aware that like, oh, hey, like, don't bully these people is going to be way different than a person coming on being like, oh, look at all these inferior IQ phenotypes that are less than me as a white person, right? These are two totally different things, but it feels like we treat them the same.
Well, so there is an agreement there somewhat, and there's a disagreement, because I see it like almost like a job. Like, let's just say you go in a workplace and you have friends, you have coworkers that you don't really mingle with or talk to, but you have to have conversations with to get the work done. Mm-hmm. There's certain there's certain things you wouldn't say towards that workplace because you're gonna get fired in doing that. So you're able to not do those things to keep that job. I think it's the same way when it comes to activism. I also want to point out, Destiny, let's be honest, how many times have you spoke to black people in person and they say, dude, you're fucking racist?
I don't know, probably never in person.
Exactly, in person.
Yeah, but I get called racist all the time online.
Exactly, and that's the problem that I'm trying to point out. It's highly more likely for you to be in a situation like this online than you are in person. Why? Because a lot more people are gonna have a better understanding of the conversation that's being had, or even then, because and that's the idea that I need people to understand. TikTok is a very toxic area to have conversations, because conversations are not conversations there. They're literal debates. I kid you not. The conversations that you're in have is less likely to have here on TikTok than ever. This is the first time I'm seeing, and I'm having a conversation with somebody where it's not a debate. It's not us trying to prove no one wrong. It's literally having a conversation. And if that was going to happen with Z there, then the conversation would be completely different, and no one would say Z showed that microaggression. But because it was emotions being there from both sides, and Z making that statement, and the women making that assumption, which is valid when it comes to their current emotions, then that's what happens. It's clearly emotions.
Okay, but like we have to figure this out on the left though, right? Because on the right, these guys can bring together so many different. You can have Nazis and traditional conservatives. Like look at all these different people that have, and tech bros that have all come together to vote for Trump and somehow work online. We have to figure that out on the left, a way to both be critical of people without completely ostracizing them at the same time. This has to be possible.
No, I definitely do agree, and I think the problem is that the ideologies that everyone has may be in the same result, but the way it's going at it is completely different. And I think that's the problem that most people have. I think people can't have a clear understanding of this is the goal and this is how we should do it. And that's the thing. There's no clear leader compared to the right. Like if you talk about the right, you automatically think of Trump. You automatically think of all these names. When you think about the left, there's no one who's actually stepping here and being like, this is how we do it, because the left have so many people. This is why I think that certain people have to shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. Some people on the left do have to shut the fuck up, because I find it very difficult for anyone to have a conversation and talk about, oh, you want to go, they have conversations like, oh, they don't like people who didn't go out there and protest in LA. But these are the same people who didn't vote in the 2024 election. But these will be the same people that's going to have problems with left-leaning movements, because their idea they have, and most people are going to hate me, it's the extreme far left. It's not the far left, it's the extreme far left that thinks that a certain ideology is going to push forth and everyone should follow that ideology. We currently know America is not in that ideology. America is a capitalist country. Now, I'm not a capitalist. I don't support capitalism, but I'm very pragmatic. I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody we have to abolish the fucking police when 67% of the population in the United States are for the police. And that's the idea that we have. Like, we have people on the left that's preaching for maybe defunding the police, while some people want ACAB. And this is why we can't work together, because we're having two different movements for the same thing that we want. Police not doing shit.
Okay. All right. You have anything else you want to bring up or anything?
No. I think it was a great conversation. I appreciate having this conversation with you, D.
Cool. I appreciate it too. I will probably see you around in the TikTok world.
Yes, you will.
All right. Have fun. Bye. Okay. I disagree with a lot of that, or especially the definition things. I think the guy's heart is in the right place, so I don't know. He doesn't seem like a bad person or anything. And before he makes a 27-part TikTok series on how I'm an evil Nazi. Just kidding.
Bro, the fact that you're one of those guys who's like, dude, using a gun against some guy who only has a knife is so police brutalitarian. Dude, it's so policey brutality to use a gun against a knife. You can't do that. It's too much force. Stop doing that. Like, these arguments are so cringe. It's just, bro, you deploy whatever you have to do. Like, if you don't think that the police force is enough, you deploy whatever is necessary. If you don't have enough and there's something pops off, what do you say? What do you say to your population? You failed them. You absolutely.
I don't even know what he's talking about. I don't think he has any idea like what is going on or what the situation is. I feel like he just like hot dropped into this conversation, and he's like, National Guard? I mean, if there were a lot of people and you needed more people, then National Guard, sure. And then he's like arguing passionately for this.
If things get out of control and they start doing a lot of shit, and it's because you under-deployed, you're liable. You are responsible for the well-being of people. If you didn't do what you should have done, oh, but now it's too much, it's too much. Guys, make it a fair fight, guys. We want this to be a 1,000 versus 300 only. Okay, no pepper spray, no guns, no batons, no water cannons. Like, dude, it's not like some inventory simulator, bro. It's not fucking Tarkov where you get
like. XQC does make a good point there, I guess. Because if without the National Guard, one of the biggest problems with the LAPD, like classically, is they have no guns, right? They don't have any weapons. They don't have any ways to defend themselves. It's a huge problem with American police is they go out onto the streets with no gear whatsoever, and they just have to do fist to fist, hand-to-hand combat, and that's not fair. And thank God we had God Emperor Trump here to call in people who actually have real firearms. Thank you.
Get mad at the guy with tier 5 armor. Oh my God, dude, tier 5 armor on interchange. Jesus Christ, that's not how that works. That is not how that works.
In our communities, and that seems to be the entire point. California will keep fighting. We'll keep fighting on behalf of our people, all of our people, including in the courts. Just yesterday, we filed a legal challenge to Donald Trump's reckless deployment of American troops to a major American city. Today, we sought an emergency court order to stop the use of the American military.
Wait, when was the last time this happened? Did the National Guard end up getting deployed during any BLM stuff? Or was it just the Rodney King stuff in 92? There's no way. There must have been something between then, no?
To engage in law enforcement activities across Los Angeles. If some of us could be snatched off the streets without a warrant...
Are you saying they ran out of National Guard to deploy, so they were forced to deploy the military? Because that's not true.
Oh, okay. Not really. Just see, acting like it's not going above like me not knowing either. Like
what?
You don't know the exact extent of what is being done. Don't act like I don't know either. So don't say, oh yeah, this is not okay. You don't even know why. I don't know either.
Or skin color, then none of us are safe.
What does it say?
Based only. If some of us could be snatched off the streets without a warrant, based only on suspicion or skin color, then none of us are safe. Authoritarian regimes begin by targeting people who are least able to defend themselves, but they do not stop there. Trump and his loyalists, they thrive on division because it allows them to take more power and exert even more control. And by the way, Trump, he's not opposed to lawlessness and violence as long as it serves him. What more evidence do we need than January?
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say that both sides are guilty of this. I agree with them. I actually agree with that. But same goes to this guy. I think they're both guilty of it. I think it's generally. Oh, dude. Oh.
Like he's not even wrong. Like he's not even making a claim that can even be parsed as right or wrong. He's not even like saying anything. I legitimately don't think he has any. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. I don't even know if he knows what he's saying. Like when he says both sides do this. What does he mean by both? What does he mean by sides? And what does he mean by this? I don't know if he knows what he's saying right now.
Wait, explosions, causing fire, looting, and violence? Guys.
Like explosions, fire, looting, and violence? You know that these are ordinary crimes that ordinary police departments, let alone massive ones like the NYPD, like the Chicago Police Department, like the LAPD can deal with, right? You don't deploy the military, especially against the will of the governor, every single time there's a crime, right? Hello?
Things got unruly. It is what it is. No. You're gonna cash in your win. You need to be an adult and fucking no. They're both doing the shit. They're both doing the shit when it's their side. It got unruly. Let's chill about it. Let's whatever. Right? When somebody else, it's oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. This is crazy. Like fuck off. Who is listening to this shit?
Everyone, take time, reflect on this perilous moment. A president who wants to be bound by no law or constitution, perpetuating a unified assault on American traditions. This is a president who in just over 140 days has fired government watchdogs that could hold him accountable for corruption and fraud. He's declared a war on culture, on history, on science, on knowledge itself. Databases, quite literally, are vanishing.
That's a dense speech from Newsom. Newsom hits on almost every important point. It was a really good delivery. Not delivery. I mean, it was a good delivery, but it was a good write-up of everything that's kind of been fucked up so far.
Legitimizing news organizations, and he's assaulting the First Amendment. And the threat of defunding them. At threat, he's dictating what universities themselves can teach. He's targeting law firms and the judicial branch that are the foundations of an...
Do you understand my frustration right now? Like, tell me what happened yesterday at the house. When I got home, my dad beat the shit out of me. My mom started cutting my wrist with razor blades. I went upstairs and my bed was ashes. They set my whole room on fire. Part of the ceiling fell. I went to the bathroom to take a piss. The trash can was full. I was supposed to empty, but I didn't. I was so stressed out. I went back to my room. And my console, my saves, they deleted everything. Do you guys still have save games? And then he's like, wait. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? Yeah, it was fucked, right? He's like, you didn't empty your trash, you said? And that was your responsibility? You didn't empty the trash can in the bathroom? And you were supposed to empty the trash can and you didn't empty it and that was your responsibility? Well, both sides have like really fucked up here. And it's like, wait, what? Like Newsom just rolled through a whole bunch of Democratic Republic destroying things. And I feel like XCC just has nothing to say. Like, hold on, like, let's like...
Basis, accountable for, on American traditions. This is a president who in just over 140 days has fired government watchdogs that could
OIG, watchdog people fired for government accountability. That's kind of bad. It's pretty spooky, but okay, maybe he doesn't know anything about that. Fine.
hold him accountable for corruption and fraud. He's declared a war on culture, on history, on science, on nothing.
The defunding of all of the institutions for school, for cancer research, for all the different types of research, the forbidding of foreign students coming to some of these, like to some of our Ivy League colleges. We have nothing to say about any of that, I guess.
Knowledge itself, databases quite literally are vanishing. He's delegitimizing news organizations and he's assaulting the First Amendment. And
suing multiple news organizations, having like people who are getting fired for saying like nothing on any.
The threat of defunding them. At threat, he's dictating what universities themselves can teach.
It's telling, Harvard, Columbia, that they're going to pull the funding if you don't get rid of stuff that he's ideologically opposed to, that they're literally trying to dictate nothing about any of this.
He's targeting law firms and the judicial branch.
Targeting law firms, literally writing executive orders, calling out law firms and forcing them to capitulate and offer pro bono services. Nothing.
That are the foundations of an orderly.
Like flagrantly betraying court orders, saying that they're not going to listen to judges all the time, saying that, the Andrew Jackson quote from Vance, nothing.
Civil society. He's calling for a sitting governor to be arrested for no other reason than to, in his own words, for getting elected.
Making jokes about Gavin, the governor of California, who, by the way, is supposed to be the one commanding the National Guard, unless he gives it up to Trump, willingly, and talking about him getting arrested. Nothing about this, nothing.
And we all know this Saturday. He's ordering our American heroes, the United States military, and forcing them to put on a vulgar display to celebrate his birthday, just as other failed dictators have done in the past.
Using the military for explicitly political actions, like he's already done. I don't know if this had happened by this point 12 hours ago, to do an actual fucking rally. Nothing.
Look, this isn't just about protests here in Los Angeles.
Jesus, man.
When Donald Trump's...
Oh, Jesus, man. Oh, sorry, that was boring. Let's go back to the TikTok clips, I guess, of protesters. My bad.
sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to every state in this nation. This is about all of us. This is about you. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next.
Who's gonna tell him? Who is going to announce this guy that his city is a fucking shithole dog fest? Who's gonna tell?
What does he mean by shithole dog fest? Like what? Compared to what? Like LA's economic output alone is half the GDP of Canada. Like, are there problems? Yeah, for sure. But he's so ass-pained about LA. Like, what is Jesus? You're a multi-million dollar per month streamer person. Like, what are you so unbelievably ass-pained about right now?
Tell this guy. Somebody's got to tell him. So somebody needs to like maybe just give him a memo. Your city's a shithole. Not things that are happening there will happen in other places. Stop projecting. Stop projecting.
Democracy is under
your citizen are sniffing unreal amount of smog every day, brother. You're poisoning your people. Brother, they are on 90% smog every day, but they stop thinking, buddy. Like,
pretty sure the smog was worse literally in the 90s. But who do you want to deal with smog? Do you think the Republicans are going to do something about it?
The moment we have feared has arrived. He's taking a wrecking ball. A wrecking ball.
You mean California, right? No, fuck no, I don't mean California. I mean LA alone, I think produces half the GDP of all of Canada. California easily outdoes all of Canada. What the fuck do you mean? Come on. Come on, doggy, dog.
Ball to our founding fathers' historic project. 3 co-equal branches of independent government.
True.
There are no longer any checks and balances. Congress is nowhere to be found. Speaker Johnson has completely abdicated that responsibility.
Oh my God, here comes. I just told in chat. California has the 4th largest GDP in the world. Oh man, who's gonna tell this guy, man? Chat, who's gonna tell him?
Is he just gonna say it doesn't matter? Economics doesn't matter at all, I guess?
Brother,
the law has increasingly been given way to the rule of Don. The founding fathers, they didn't live and die to see this.
Brother,
also no response to anything that was just said, I guess.
Some neighborhoods, a couple neighborhoods combined, probably had a bigger GDP than a bunch of fucking other countries combined. Just the neighborhoods. Other neighborhoods though, bro, they probably have less income than any other neighborhoods out there. What is the question mark? Oh!
Don't start crying when he goes after Canada, Lil Pop.
Does he think GDP is like net worth? Or
This chat has fallen on their heads.
For all of us to stand up. Justice Brandeis, he said it best. In a democracy, the most important office, with all due respect, Mr. President, is not the presidency. And certainly,
Bro, Calabasas' GDP is probably higher, I would argue, than a lot of countries combined. Just that.
Calabasas? He's talking about net worth. That's what he's mixing something. What even, not to knock Calabasas, but that's like it's just a nice little suburb north of Malibu, right? Are there a ton of like businesses and stuff there? He must think that GDP is just, he thinks that GDP is just like wealth, or like how big your house is, or how much money you have saved up, I guess.
Just that one neighborhood, that one fucking zip code. That's just how it is. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
The most important office is office of citizen. At this moment, we all need to stand up and be held to account, a higher level of accountability. If you exercise your First Amendment rights, please do it peacefully. I know many of you are feeling deep anxiety, stress, and fear, but I want you to know that you are the antidote to that fear and that anxiety.
I would be fearful as well. He's right. There's something to be fearful about.
About how horrible LA is.
People walking on the streets and fucking clapping your cars, or fucking harming you, or your business, or looting your shit. I'd be stressed out too. He's not wrong. There is some stress in that for sure. Fucking loser. Holy shit. That is crazy.
To be complicit.
Because people aren't joining in on riots. Bro, when you're at home, you don't go, guys, I am stressed out. I'm at risk of getting hit by cops. Bro, no, they're not. They don't join in voluntarily in fucking riots. They're chilling at home doing their thing, you fucking loser. What the heck am I even watching? Hello?
In this moment, do not give in to him.
That was a blistering speech there from the California Governor Gavin Newsom, responding after days of back and forth between his state and Los Angeles specifically, and the White House and President Trump.
But they shouldn't go say, you care more about things than people. Dude, if some guy's getting carjacked and you use a gun to defend himself, that's perfectly fine. Dude, it's just a car. Okay, then if it's just a car, don't put your life on the line for it. You fail to understand it. That it's the burden is on them, not on you. Like, what are you on about?
Where did the right-wing hate for California come from? California is if the Clintons were a state. Republicans have just spent their entire lives obsessing over and shitting on California constantly because California has like big city problems. It does. But whenever Republicans have identified cities that they think are opportunities for votes, then the city's problems are opportunities. You will never hear a Republican say some shit about Michigan that they say about LA, right? Look at these dog shit, old ass fucking cities with these fucking bullshit ass abandoned, manufacturing plants that nobody builds shit out of anymore that suck shit. They'll never say that. They'll obsessively suck off and slurp and talk about how important it is to revitalize and save these areas and all that shit. They just give a fuck about LA or California because they feel like they're never going to win the state. So they just go off on it constantly. People talk shit about Detroit constantly. Not any Republican pundits or lawmakers. Or if they talk shit about it, they are very, very, very narrowly focused on the crime, and it's through the lens of like, we need to make Detroit great again or whatever. We need to rebuild these places. If these are like states in play, you didn't hear conservatives go. No one ever goes off on these places like they do in California or LA. If they do, it's just to say that like they're in failed Democrat cities or whatever. Or they always angle it into an attack on the Democrats.
If it's just a car, then why are you willing to lay down your fucking life for that car then? How is it on you that if you defend yourself, then, it's on you, no, it's on you. What the fuck is on you, dumbass? Like, that's crazy. Like, if some guy goes to my house and he gets in and says, dude, I care more about my life than my things. You can have it. Have the house. Take it. Dude, no. There are limits. People will not put up with this shit, fucking bitch ass. Fuck no. What is on you? What the heck?
We either have a border or we don't.
Oh, I'm not gonna watch this. Chat, this is some shit that's chat linked, so I'll give it a shot, but I know this isn't. It's Fox News, I'm probably not gonna watch this.
Worrying about what? I'm asking you a question. What's gonna hurt? What's gonna hurt? Why are you gonna shoot a fucking 40 millimeter to someone 3 feet away?
Oh shit, and he picks one of the few cop videos that are it's totally indefensible. What's he gonna say? Is he gonna defend this?
Hey, who's asking your badge number? What am I doing? Huh? Go ahead, what is it?
No shot.
You work for us, bitch. What is your badge number? I'm behind glass. What is your
Well, he called him a bitch.
Number. Why'd you rip the name off your helmet? What's your badge number?
I don't get it.
Hey, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. What's your badge number? That's okay. I'm gonna pop you right now because you're taking up my focus.
Oh hell nah. I put this guy in jail and fuck it. Yeah, put this guy in behind the bars, brother.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Loser. What is this guy doing?
He doesn't defend that guy. That's
is
good.
This guy fucking bum or what?
Right?
Huh? What's your last name? I'm not threatening you. I'm asking you what your name is. You're a police officer. What is your name? Huh? What is your name?
Why do people say keep watching?
What the fuck?
I mean, I don't think you can defend, like, I don't think it's even defendable. Listen, I'm not gonna hear any arguments of, like,
Hey, what's your name? What's your name?
nobody can defend that.
Why? Wait, why? Why are you hitting me? What did I fucking do? Huh? Why? What the fuck?
Well, I mean, he did give himself warnings, though. I mean,
No.
oh well. Oh, my bad. I forgot this is California. He had to give them the book of all the laws and all the whatever, and they had to argue something that would go to court right there on the spot. But he was telling him, get the fuck out and leave. I mean, brother, you arguing with the fucking
Why? Wait, why? Why are you hitting me?
chat, guys. I gotta keep it a bug with you. This will sound like a bootlicker take, but it's like a game of League. If you
Okay, I'm good. Why? I can't do this. What? Okay. Tim Pool gets visibly angry and defensive when his guest brings up that he was paid by
question like
Russia. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me get a Red Bull.
if Russia gave you tens of millions of dollars because they thought, and I think you were tricked by these people, right?
That story's fake.
Well, hold
on. That story's not true. It never happened.
The Edward Gregorian thing, right? Like
Yes, it's not real. It never happened.
It never happened?
Never happened.
They never tried to...
Wait.
Ever
entanglement? I don't.
Wait, who is this guy? Do I know this guy? I feel like I hate this guy. Maybe, I don't know.
If you... True. Simple. Do you ever question, like, if Russia gave you tens of millions of dollars...
Oh, you guys can't say this. I'm so sorry.
Because they thought, and I think you were tricked by these people.
Wait.
If Russia gave you tens of millions of dollars...
Okay, it was $5 million, so Tim can fight on the amount.
Because they thought, and I think you were tricked by these people, right? Like,
that story's fake.
Well, hold
on. That story's not true. It never happened.
The Edward Gregorian thing, right? Like
Yes, it's
they
not real.
tried
It never
to deceive
happened.
you. It never happened?
Never happened.
They never tried to host your
No,
stuff
you
on
guys
Senate
believe
media?
fake cult bullshit because you
Well,
live
this
in
is from the
paranoid.
He'll go into the most hyper nuanced individual facts here, and if you don't know all of them, I pointed this out with Sam Pepper before. This is a really common like liar strategy: is when somebody's trying to nail you on the substance of a thing, you immediately get defensive by grilling them or contradicting the entirety of it if they don't get every single minor point right. He does this a lot. I debated him before. Apparently, if I remember from the lefty thing, then I don't think I hit him. I think he's a okay guy. So. He was like a reasonable dude, even though we disagreed, I think. So I don't hate him, sorry. I just had that impression. I don't know why. I must be mixing him up with somebody else.
DOJ, maybe I should
They dropped
trust them.
it.
They dropped it.
There's
completely.
no
It's totally
evidence.
gone.
No evidence was ever released, and there's no.
They dropped what? What? I don't know if that hasn't been publicly announced. I don't think he would know that, but.
It's from the DOJ. Maybe I should
They dropped
trust
it.
them. They dropped it.
There's
completely.
no
It's totally
evidence.
gone.
No evidence was ever released, and there's no case.
Of who?
They dropped the case completely.
The two people that I can't. I'm not going to speak out of turn. I will just say this. There's the
Okay,
case
you
is
got to
dropped.
turn if the case is dropped, right? Like
I'm
it's all
not going
public
to.
now, right?
How about you let me finish talking?
Yeah, wait, why can't you say anything if the case is dropped?
Well,
Like, what are you doing?
I'm just asking if this is all fake.
The case is dropped.
Okay.
There's no evidence.
Why can't you talk about it?
I'm talking about it right now.
But you said I'm not going to speak out of turn. Like
Beyond what I can say, I will not speak out of turn for other people.
Okay.
What I can say is there's no case. There's no evidence. As far as anyone can tell, it never happened, and it was dropped almost immediately the day they announced it.
It was dropped immediately.
Almost immediately after they announced it, the case was gone.
I don't know.
Wait, so there's not an active case against the Chens or whatever? That stuff all got dropped? Does anybody have a link or an announcement or anything like that? I haven't heard that at all.
If you have a Jamie, can we pull it up? Because I want to.
Pull what up?
Pull the fact that the case is dropped.
How do you do that?
Well, I mean, it has to be Now it has to be public, right? Because the indictments were made publicly. So I imagine there's like a courthouse or somewhere that it's filed, right? I'm pretty sure you'd have to follow up on an indictment. No, there has to be some kind of public announcement made, no?
How do you know it was dropped?
Because I have lawyers that were working with the DOJ on
It
it.
wasn't reported anywhere, not a single person?
Yes, indeed. Because
Oh, then just bring up where it was reported at.
the story wasn't real to begin with, and it was picked up by a bunch of fucking
Who
retards.
made it up?
What story wasn't real? He's playing fast and loose here, where Tim is trying to be like, because Tim is trying to he's trying to speak with specificity around claims that he himself was engaged in criminal behavior, but he's being very vague about everything he's saying to try to like introduce a little bit of obfuscation. It's fucking stupid.
The DOJ
made it. What was it?
I will tell you
DOJ
this.
made it up to go after you.
I didn't say that.
Well, yeah, but who's making? If it's completely fake, where did it come from?
That's an interesting fucking question, isn't it?
Yes, because my understanding was I think you were deceived. I watched your response to it. I was
What's your evidence any of it happened?
I don't.
Or is Tim really trying to say that the entire thing was faked? There were no cash transfers whatsoever? Tenet didn't exist? Tenet Media was never a real YouTube channel? All of that was just a fake thing? It's just gone and now what? What?
The DOJ report. That's all I have.
What DOJ report?
The DOJ.
The quiz. God, he's such a pussy ass bitch. He's smart though. Tim, I'll give him credit for being smart enough not to bring anybody that's like thoroughly read all these documents. Tim has never read an original material of anything in his entire fucking life, or at least not since he became a fucking sellout stooge for whatever foreign operator controls him.
PDF that they released.
PDF. You're thinking about the criminal indictment. I mean, I wouldn't expect this guy necessarily to know every single thing. Maybe he doesn't know how Temple operates, that you have to be familiar with all the underlying material, or else Tim is just going to endlessly quiz you on it, which is funny because Tim hasn't read any of it.
What happened?
I don't. The DOJ report. That's all I have.
What DOJ report?
The DOJ PDF that they released with
And what
all
did
the
it
different
say?
names. It said that
This is the quiz. And if he gets any detail wrong here, Tim's going to say, wrong, you're lying.
Russia was trying to pay people through Tenet Media Company, funneling money to host your content. Culture. This show,
What's the
by
evidence?
the way.
What's the evidence?
It's an indictment, you fucking retard. They don't have to make that evidence public right now. They can speak about the evidence they have. The evidence they gave were bank transactions that were being transacted through a shell corporation where payments were being listed improperly. So for instance, I think some of the payments were, it was like $130,000 for iPhone 14 XX or some bullshit, right? That was the evidence still in the indictment, but we don't have access to that evidence now. It's just an indictment. Indictments are issued for PC, probable cause, so that you can do an arrest warrant. That's it. It's not like we have a trial or something where we can look at the evidence publicly or anything.
Don't have
There's
the
none.
fucking links in there.
There was never any evidence.
Okay, so where did it come from? What do you mean? I'm confused. Look, all I'm saying is the story was, and if this is false, sure. The story was the Russian government thought it behooved them to pay you money because your talking points on Ukraine were indistinguishable from their propaganda. Now, if that's not true, maybe
It's not true. That's not even in the indictment.
When you scream Ukraine is the enemy of now, if that pay you money because your talking points on Ukraine were indistinguishable from their propaganda. Now, if that's not true, maybe
It's not true. That's not even in the indictment.
When you scream Ukraine is
What's not in the indictment? That Tim Pool was getting paid a fuck ton of money? That was in the indictment.
the enemy of the people, that is essentially Russian propaganda. No, I don't think you're being paid for them.
Did our ally Germany accuse Ukrainians of sabotaging our energy
ally
pipeline?
Germany put money into that country to fight back against it? Is
not the
Germany
question.
not raising money for them right now?
You gave a specific quote when I said
Right.
Ukraine is an enemy of this country.
Right. What did you mean by
Because
that?
Germany, our ally, said that Ukrainians just bombed our energy pipeline.
Sure.
And I said that makes them an enemy of us.
There was nothing moving through that pipeline yet.
Our ally was attacked by Ukrainians.
Okay, so clearly the governments of these NATO countries don't agree with you insofar as they think, hey, it still behooves us to give money to this country and help it defend itself against Russia.
I don't care about that.
Meanwhile, the Russian narrative...
Germany fucking complained. Germany said that Ukraine was bombing their energy, and that makes them an enemy to us. Okay, well, Germany literally just said they don't give a fuck. That's why they still want to support them. I don't care. So? And? Who? Germany. No, who asked, bitch? Okay, damn, you got him, I guess.
Narrative is 100% that did happen in that way that you're describing, where we don't actually know. This is my
So
understanding.
let's-
My question is, why should I take your Ukrainian facts seriously if this
CBS
seems to be
News.
the case? What?
It's CBS News.
What's CBS News?
What I just cited was CBS.
They said 100% this is confirmed, or this is an alleged thing.
CBS reported that Germany has issued an arrest warrant for a Ukrainian
Okay.
diver named Volodymyr
And that
Z.
means
and two
100%
Ukrainians-
it happened?
It means our ally has asserted.
God. And I don't blame the soy pill for not being a fucking legal cuck, but it's so funny what he's saying there. Germany issued an arrest warrant and that's your proof? That's interesting. Do you know what an arrest warrant is usually issued off of? Usually something called an indictment. You know that thing that you said earlier that wasn't proof, right? Because you said earlier that the DOJ didn't publish any proof. What did they publish? They published a set of indictments, right? And you said that didn't count as proof. But now you're saying that Germany issuing an arrest warrant does count as proof, which is, I imagine, Germany's probably probable cause for an arrest. So, but whatever, who cares?
That this is their stance on it,
right?
And we should stand
So
with
why
our
is it
NATO
their
ally.
conclusion Ukraine is the enemy of the people?
True. And see, this guy, he's not like familiar with all the underlying facts. He's unknowingly asking good questions. Because then the next question is, oh, why did Germany issue an individual arrest warrant for a person then? If they thought that Ukraine was responsible, why didn't Germany go to the ICJ and ask the International Court of Justice to look into it? Why didn't Germany go to the ICC and ask the International Criminal Court to issue an international arrest warrant for people in Ukraine?
Maybe it is.
Well, no,
Tim has no idea about any of these things.
It's not. They're giving them money. They're supporting them.
That doesn't get into the nuance of a political climate in Eastern Europe.
Nuance.
Okay, so what I'm asking you is, your position on this seems to be at the least aligned with a lot of what the Russian position is, which is, fine,
that
that's your
Russia's
opinion.
scumbags and should have invaded?
If that's your opinion, and what I'm saying is, why then
Scumbags.
are all of these countries still doing the exact opposite of what you're suggesting?
What does that have to do with what we were talking about? I don't
This has to do with the fact that, like, I'm asking you, why should I take any of your opinions on this seriously when it seems to be 100% aligned with a country that is the enemy in this
Are
situation?
you retarded?
What?
Are you a retard?
I mean, yes, but that's irrelevant to what
What
we're talking
does
about right
my
now.
opinion as an American who doesn't want to be involved in foreign wars have to do with whether Russia agrees with that or not?
Because if the Russians thought that they should give you millions of dollars to spread your opinion, which helps
And they
them
didn't, and that's made up.
Can we look at that?
What
The
was
case being dropped? Like,
Made up. Yeah, made up.
do you have an email from
King.
your lawyer about it being dropped or something that you're
King.
allowed to show with like?
Is
a
there
lot
any
of
proof that it ever
redactions?
happened?
King should prove it. Prove it. Oh, words on paper. You know that a PDF's not even real paper, right? So pixels, LEDs, alternating, what is it? Light emitting diodes. That's your proof? Zeros and ones, bro?
The proof, look, if you think the DOJ made it up out of thin air, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, let's try this. Do you believe everything the government says?
No.
Then with no evidence being issued, no case ever being brought.
Wait, why would you say, if you don't believe the government, then why would you give a fuck if any evidence was given? That you would just not believe the government anyway. This whole argument is self-defeating.
Individuals
Poorly
ever
written thing with
identified
things with charges. I mean, okay. With
Individuals were literally named in the indictment. The Russians were indicted that were involved in this, no? What? Tenet, indictment, Department, Justice. Two, RT, employees indicted for covertly funding and directing U.S. company that published thousands of videos in furtherance of Russian interests. Unsealing of an indictment charging Russian nationals Kostiantin Kalashnikov. That's a real name. Come on. And Elena Afanasieva. So there are literally named people. Nobody ever reads any of the material. No, why?
It's a very
no
poorly
individuals
written
ever
thing with
ever
things-
identified.
with charges. I mean, okay, with the two Russians
You just
that were
believe whatever the government
with
says.
the two Russians indicted. Are they free? Are they free now?
Who are they?
Kalishnikov and the other one. I don't know. Remember.
Oh, he even knows one of the names. Kalashnikov and you got one of them. Okay, so he's seen something. He's at least read an article.
With the two Russians indicted. Are they free? Are they free?
So Tim either doesn't know or he's being bad faith.
No.
Who are they?
Kalishnikov and the other one. I don't know. Remember that one's name.
When have you ever seen them before?
Have you ever seen these people? What?
Are you saying these people aren't real?
We don't know that they are.
Oh my God. These are advanced debater tactics. I would have to study up if I ever went back on the show. I wouldn't be ready for this one. You know that that everything you said about that case was a lie. What do you mean? Well, like for George Floyd, for instance, like you see that you're trying to say he had a fentanyl overdose. He did. Okay, but I mean, you don't have any proof of that. Yes, I do. What's your proof? The autopsy and the levels in his blood. It's like, well, he was a frequent user of it, right? He probably hit a tolerance. Drug users don't build tolerances. Well, yeah, they do. No, they don't. Have you ever seen one before? What? Yeah, I've seen a drug user. No, like a tolerance. No, what do you mean by see a tolerance? Like, show me a tolerance? Google right now. Show me what a tolerance looks like. I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to materially represent a concept to you. Then you have no idea they're even real. Checkmate. It's like, okay, well, fuck me, I guess. What are we even saying? So, if they would have posted pictures, what would What would Tim have said? Do we know if the pictures are deep faked? Like names aren't enough? They're just listing fake names on the indictment?
One, I don't know. Remember that
When have you ever seen them before?
Are you saying these people aren't real?
We don't know that they are.
I'm asking you if you
They haven't even posted photos of these people.
So, okay, hold on. Let me just get this straight. Because the idea is this entire thing was crafted out of thin air. We made up fake names.
Why'd they drop it?
Directly with XYZ.
Did they drop it? It was a public indictment. Wouldn't you have? I actually don't know if you would have to announce if you drop a public indictment. I would imagine you would.
People, it's directly linked to this company that we know is real, which is Tenet Media, started by Lauren Chen and her husband or whatever. But everything in between those names is completely fabricated.
So you believe
He's not going to answer any questions. So you believe everything you've read in the media? You don't know what you're talking about. You don't sound like you're familiar. You just believe the crazy stuff you've seen by crazy media outlets. Like, it's always this bullshit.
whatever the government tells you?
That's not what I asked. I asked you if everything is completely fabricated in between those names.
Just because they issued an indictment doesn't mean that they made it up. They could be wrong.
Well, who?
I mean, it wasn't these were indictments in front of a grand jury, right? But maybe the grand jury was all tricked as well. Were these grand jury indictments? I thought they were, for at least the first one, for the Tenet Media stuff. But maybe, who knows? Maybe they made it all up.
Okay, what is the source that is wrong then, right? Like, are all these Russian? Because you just alleged these Russian people don't exist.
Here's the world that you live in. You live in a world where if the government asserts it, it must be true without charge or trial or
not what
evidence.
I said. I said if someone says something
You're
with
using
a very
that
credible
to strike at
report,
my opinion on a war in Ukraine, which I think we shouldn't be involved in.
It's because I'm questioning the veracity of some of the facts you're bringing up on it because they are indeed aligned with Russian state propaganda.
Let's try this.
Okay, let's try this.
Let's try the second biggest live show in the country is contacted by a conservative personality to license a cultural debate show unrelated to the news.
Sure.
The DOJ then comes out shortly before the election and claims that Russia paid for the whole thing.
Yes.
And then within weeks, it's completely gone. No evidence released, no charges, no trial, no evidence.
Well, how can you have a trial? I don't know if he's being stupid, or I don't know if he's just obfuscating, but like the Russian nationals, what do you think, we're going to send SEAL Team 6 into Moscow to abduct them and bring them to the U.S. to stand trial? I don't know if he'll ask. The soy pill guy, he should just ask point blank, oh, so you didn't get $5 million from Tenet Media. How much money did you get paid by them? You should ask that.
Completely gone. No evidence released. No charges.
Where's Tenet Media then? Why hasn't Tenet Media came back? Why hasn't Lauren Chen made a public statement, her and her husband, about how they're exonerated?
Trial. No evidence.
Were the Russians not, charged? I thought they were.
I'm saying outside the
indictment. I don't think you committed a crime. I read the report. I watched your response, and it's like they deceived you to funnel money into you because they thought that your opinions aligned with theirs, and they want to spread those. That's it.
So
That's all it looked like.
I think you're a retard.
Why?
Because
You don't
when
know all
the
the
U.S.
facts.
government, largely under the Biden administration, wants to be involved in a foreign conflict, and the second biggest live stream in the country is saying we should not be, they then issue a statement without evidence, impugning my honor that you are using to strike at my credibility.
Why would they go after your cultural show that you yourself just said had no relation to politics on? If the Biden government was so willing to fabricate this stuff, why wouldn't they just attack your main channel directly and shut it down? Did the deep state not have the power to do that? You guys say that the ADL and George Soros run all of YouTube and all that shit anyway. So if they were in control, they had the deep state, they had the government. They're literally, you're saying, issued fake indictments and shit, and they faked everything. Why wouldn't they just go for your main YouTube channel? Why the fuck would they go for the culture war show?
Have evidence that the Biden government fabricated this to frame you because they hate your opinions on Ukraine? What?
I didn't say they did.
He's not saying anything. He's literally just not saying anything at all about anything.
Well, that's what you're alleging right now.
No, I'm alleging that
I'm not. I didn't say they made it up. Okay, who are you saying made it up? I didn't say anybody made it up. I just said it wasn't real. Okay, well, what does that mean? Just what I said. Okay.
You just said that. What do you mean? You just said when someone says something against the motives of the Biden administration, they might go after that second biggest podcast because they don't like what that podcast is.
That someone doesn't have to be Biden. Could be a third actor, a top secret deep state operative.
Saying you said that's what they did,
My point
right?
was that you are using a claim without evidence to impugn my credibility.
No, I'm actually not.
You literally just said, why should I listen to your opinions
I'm
on
using
this?
because your opinions are indistinguishable from Russian state propaganda, and it behooved them to give you money because they're like, I want these opinions
So
disseminated
the Russian position is that they shouldn't have invaded Ukraine?
So that's your basic position? I'm talking
From day
about
one.
Ukraine is the enemy of the people. America is fighting this
Never
war.
said they were the people.
You literally...
I don't think he said Ukraine is the enemy of the people. He said Ukraine is like an enemy of America or something. Something like this, didn't he? Or what was the exact quote? Ukraine is the enemy of... Oh my God. The enemy of this country or something. Or the nation, not the people. Oh my God, dude.
Ukraine is the enemy of the people. America is fighting this war.
Never said they were the people.
You literally said Ukraine is the enemy of this country or whatever,
Because they bombed the Nord Stream pipeline according
Look
to...
at how he moves on from that so quickly. He corrects. Okay, you said the enemy of the country. Well, yeah, because of this. Like, look at how he moved on from that instantaneously. Oh my God.
Germany.
The point is that
Bro,
your
you know so
positions
little
in
about the
Tulsi-
Ukrainian conflict. Nord Stream pipeline according to Germany.
The point is that
You also, did Germany accuse Ukraine of doing it? Or were the Ukrainians that they issued an arrest warrant for? You know that's a different thing, right? Those are two different things, right?
You know so little about the Ukrainian conflict.
What do you mean?
That you like...
Are you going to get me to name all the oblasts right now? I know like one of them, so...
You don't... Oh, wow, I'm impressed. You don't know...
It's like
you
Donetsk
don't know,
and
you know what,
Luhansk or whatever. Those are the only two.
You don't even know two.
Are they, I'm pronouncing them wrong?
Luhansk and Donetsk?
Yeah.
I don't care if you know the names of oblasts.
I just
because
remember you,
the point
you called
is,
out Wick on that, so...
You don't know shit about what's going on, but you are adamant we be involved.
What do you mean I don't call it out?
Luhansk and Donetsk? You don't even know two. Oh, wow, I'm impressed. You don't know...
It's like
you
Donetsk
know,
and
you know what,
Luhansk or whatever. Those are the only two.
You don't even know two.
Wasn't that two? Or is he saying you don't know two because Luhansk is incorrect, is not the right pronunciation?
Are they, I'm pronouncing them wrong?
Luhansk and Donetsk?
Yeah.
I don't care if you know the names of oblasts.
I just
because
remember you,
the point
you called
is,
out Wick on that, so...
You don't know shit about what's going on, but you are adamant we be involved.
Oh my God.
What do you mean I don't know shit? I know that the security guarantee happened. I know that we should defend
Why did
an
Russia
ally.
invade?
Why did Russia invade? Well, I think you're alleging that it was because of the trade deals and they didn't want their cheap European goods flooding into Russia or something like that. I thought you said that at one point. I'm sorry if that's not what you think. I thought the Russia
I read that in
invaded-
a Reuters article.
Okay. So what do you think? Why do you think Russia invaded?
Because they don't want to lose control of Sevastopol.
Okay.
That's why they control the land bridge into Crimea.
What does this have to do with anything I said?
Invaded when? In 2014, you might be able to make that argument, but there wasn't necessarily, at least as far as I'm aware, a reason I think they were going to lose control of that base, but...
I've seen you talk about this stuff.
You don't know why the U.S. is involved in Ukraine, but you want us to be there.
Fuck, you should have asked him for the year on that. Because that wasn't the main invasion. That was for 2014, right?
I think that the U.S. is opposing, one, the invasion of Ukraine because we promised that, hey, if you give up your nukes, we'll help you if you get invaded because we don't want the nuclear proliferation in this country.
And what was that called?
I don't remember. It's like 1993 or something, right?
Listen.
Dude, the quiz. He's such a scumbag fuck piece of shit. God, he's such a fucking loser that he won't drag anybody on here that would like, oh, he would get eviscerated on this. What? Because the guy doesn't remember the name of the...
Hey, if you give up your nukes, we'll help you if you get invaded because we don't want the nuclear We promised that, hey, if you give up your nukes, we'll help you if you get invaded because we don't want the nuclear proliferation in this country.
And what was that called?
Like, it's so funny, too, how surface level the quizzing is, right? In 94, there were 3 Budapest memorandums that were issued between 3 different countries, one being Ukraine. But that security guarantee that Soypil just said, that was not in there. And that would actually be your strong attacking point against that. You would say, excuse me, we did have treaties promising that we wouldn't interfere in the country or interfere with individuals from these countries if they gave other nuclear weapons. We didn't provide any security guarantees. There was no promise that we'd help you if someone else invaded. That's absolutely not the case. But Tim doesn't know that because he doesn't know anything about these. He's probably only heard Mearsheimer bring it up or whatever. He's never read any of these. And these documents they're a page long.
I don't remember. It's like 1993 or something, right?
Listen, I have an issue with ill-informed individuals advocating for an escalation of war.
Why is this... Dude, if you're talking about... Look, I can probably...
I noticed he started doing this pathetic quizzing after blacklisting you. No, he's done it for a long time. He did to me when I was there about the cases that I didn't know enough about. And I got caught up on the Ahmed Arbery stuff where he started, quizzing. I don't know the details of it. Now I do. And now I would for anything going on to his show now that I understand better how he operates. But
name like the way that you've described of Russia's goals in this country and like all the points you're going over. My question is, why is it that when we do a security guarantee for a country, we shouldn't help that country out?
What's the security guarantee?
The security guarantee is that if you give up your nukes, we will protect you, right?
Tell me about it.
What do you want me
Oh my God, the endless quizzing.
to pull it up? I don't have it memorized. Do you have it memorized?
Yeah, it was the Budapest Memorandum.
There we go. Didn't remember.
It was the nuclear deproliferation, the beginning of the START treaties.
Right.
Now, why is the United States involved in Ukraine?
Because why are we involved in any foreign country?
No, there's a specific reason we're involved in Ukraine.
Are you talking about like to combat the spread of Soviet stuff, or what do you mean?
I have an issue my whole life with ill-informed people propagandized by the government to advocate for foreign intervention in other countries.
Why is this? What am I propaganda? Like, tell me what my
you don't
brainwash
know
position. Because in good faith, I'm asking you, what do you think my position? Why I support this based on this? Like,
I've never heard that before. Was the Budapest Memorandum tied to any of the START treaties? I thought the START treaties were always just between. No, that's Obama. My God, he is a retard. Wait. START treaties. Wikipedia. US and Soviet Union. Limitation of different. Budapest Memorandum. Did these have anything to? I know that we were kind of angling for nuclear deproliferation or to not have nuclear proliferation as a thing, but on May 23rd, 1992, START Treaty was signed in 2010. No, you're so fucking wrong. Because if you play Metal Gear Solid 1, they talked about START and START 2, I believe. So you're major wrong. Okay, on May 23rd, 1992, Russia, the US, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine signed the Lisbon Protocol to the START 1 treaty. Ahead of ratifying the treaty later, the protocol committed Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine to adhere to the NPT as non-nuclear weapons states as soon as possible. However, the terms of transfer of the nuclear weapons not agreed, and some Ukrainian officials and parliamentary stability of retaining some of the modern Ukrainian built. Okay, so maybe as part of these were protocols added onto the first START treaties.
Thing like if I said, "Oh, it seems like we promised this country we'd defend them,"
we'll be greeted as liberators.
Huh?
Because you're basically saying we will be greeted as liberators.
No, I'm saying seems to me like if I said, "Oh, it seems like we promised this country we'd defend them,"
we'll be greeted as liberators.
Huh?
Because you're
is he trying to tie this into the Iraq War?
Basically saying we will be greeted as liberators.
No, I'm saying
he desperately wants to. That's what he's going to do. He's going to do it. He's going to do it.
To me, like we had a promise to this country to defend them in this case. My question is, what's wrong with that? Because maybe I'm wrong, but tell me about it. But my question originally was going back to this, like, okay, but like if you're saying the same things as Russian state TV, it makes it hard to take you seriously.
Does the
like somebody said this in chat so well earlier? This is why people hate history. Tim can't describe. Yeah, oh yeah, someone else just said it too. Destiny, it's just such a waste of time because he clearly just knows the words but doesn't actually know the details. You can tell because what he quizzes people on is always small details like names. Yeah, like why can't Tim just give an overall macro explanation of what was going on? Like explain, like weave this together instead of this autistic quizzing of the names of cities or oblasts or the name of the treaty or what it was or when it's like just like explain. Like why do you just keep doing this endless needling and quizzing? It's so cringe.
Does the treaty that we have with Ukraine that promises to defend them include any guarantees for Russia?
Probably, I think so, right?
Does it maybe is there maybe some kind of issue pertaining to if the U.S. aggresses?
Just tell me. I haven't read the whole thing.
Yeah,
like 3 months ago or something.
Was it Timber Sycamore? Was that the operation?
That was in Syria.
Yeah, when the U.S. started providing weapons to Islamic terrorist groups.
Yeah.
So that they could topple the Assad regime, which was allied with Russia, where Russia has their naval base in Tartus.
Okay.
That was an aggress upon an ally of Russia, which destabilized the region.
I don't even think these are the strong arguments against violations of the Budapest memorandums. I think your strong argument, I would have to look this up because I don't remember historically, is that it was argued by some that the United States sanctioned a few leaders in Belarus And if you read the memorandum, the Budapest memorandum involving Belarus, and the language is the same for all three of them, for Belarus, for Ukraine, and for Kazakhstan, you weren't supposed to sanction any of the government people or whatever as well. And some people argue that sanctions on certain Belarusian leaders was actually a violation of the Budapest memorandum to Belarus. The idea that us doing anything in Syria had anything to do with violating is fucking, but okay. Stupid.
Creating a conflict, particularly around control of a Russian naval base, which put them at risk. Assad had to flee the country. We viewed him largely as a terrorist who was gassing his own people. Russia viewed him as an ally and sought to protect him. The U.S. threatened to put a no-fly zone over Syria, to which Hillary Clinton said, let's do it, even though she was warned that would start war with Russia directly. She said, I don't care. The reason we are in Ukraine largely has to do with our attempts to bring natural gas from the Middle East into...
Oh, he read this pipeline theory. I remember this. Brian Dawson, the weird dude, used to push this theory a lot, that there was some massive pipeline from Israel or whatever. We were trying to bypass Iraq or Syria. I don't even remember, but it was some huge pipeline thing. Is like the big conspiratard theory about why all this happened.
To Europe to offset Russia's control of natural gas.
Yeah, I've seen you talk about this. Okay.
So the U.S. is setting up operations in Ukraine, running soft power operations to shift their government towards a pro-EU, pro-Schengen, pro-NATO sentiment. Russia opposes this. This is why Russia invaded. Firstly, the reason why they seized Crimea in 2014, was because they saw the writing on the wall with the ousting of Yanukovych. They didn't invade Ukraine at the time. They simply had their existing troops in Sevastopol walk outside.
I don't believe it was existing troops. I think that they, by cover of night, dropped more troops there to take over the entire peninsula, not just secure the military base, but...
Didn't they put a bunch of special forces and
they were already
the elections?
there.
No,
I don't believe they were doing. They moved new people in, but
Little Green Men thing, right?
They were already there.
Okay,
they have a
why does
naval
that
base
make
in
it
Sevastopol.
okay?
No one said it was. I'm saying this is what Russia did.
Right. Then there was
Russia
a Lisa,
invaded
Lisa
Ukraine
in
after Joe
right?
Biden got back in. Because when Trump won in 2016, all of these tensions simmered down and halted.
that's a total fucking lie. All of these, the war was still raging in the southeast the entire time. What do you mean? All of these tensions simmered. What?
The response from the left, the Democratic Party, was largely that Donald Trump was supporting Russian interests by removing our involvement from Ukraine.
I asked what specifically about my position is completely fabricated or brainwashed, but I'm also
any of this.
But I'm also But I'm also questioning everything you're telling me now because first of all, you have been in this industry way longer than me. I would always concede and cop to the fact that you probably know more about more things than I do, and probably ever will.
Not only do I know more about it than you, I was there twice at the start of the Civil War.
But my question is, if the Russian state media says, "Hey, this person's opinions are so aligned with ours, we want to give them millions of dollars," why should I believe you?
That's made up.
And your evidence of it being made up is, well,
you have no evidence of it.
Yeah, but you're if you think the DOJ completely fabricated it, just say that. But I don't think that's the case.
Let's say their indictment is fine.
Okay.
What evidence did they release?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the sources.
The indictment contains no evidence.
It's like, can we call Lauren Chen on the phone and ask her right now?
The indictment contains zero evidence that anything.
It's an indictment. It's just a charging document. It's not your trial. You're not presenting evidence to a jury. It's literally just a charging document
that they've claimed happened.
Yeah, when the government releases a report on something, do they have a list of sources at the bottom, or do they say this is what we're alleging happened? Joe Biden said, hey, Russia's about to invade Ukraine in the coming weeks, and they didn't say, and these are intelligence sources, and these are our spies. They were just like, this is going to happen, and then it did, right?
If your only argument against the historical facts that I brought up is, but I heard from an indictment that you may have been paid by a foreign country.
That's not my only argument. I have a lot of arguments there. I don't want to get into a whole Ukraine debate. My point is, I don't understand why.
Let's just pause on the Ukraine thing because I don't need to rehash a history lesson to somebody who didn't research it. Okay. Let's just talk about
not reseaching. Can we talk about the fine people hoax? You talked about it with Adam Conover, and I think you bring that up with liberals a lot. I just made a video on it. You feature in it, the Adam Conover clip itself,
right?
And
you did research it. And you did know the full
and
quote.
Bill.
Yeah. So some people, especially Chuck Schumer, he did this. He said Donald Trump called neo-Nazis fine people, which is not the quote, right? It's
they should be condemned.
Yeah, fine people on both sides, but I'm not talking about this. But I think that completely ignores the context of the white nationalist who organized the rally, who was there on that day, and all the Identity Europa, the KKK, the idea that there were fine people in this group is kind of what everyone was upset about, is that he didn't condemn them on August 12th when white nationalists killed a guy. 2 days later, he gave a teleprompter speech that seemed kind of wooden and hollow. And then on the 15th, he finally said the fine people thing, pointing to no one, because there were not fine people on the side of the neo-Nazis.
I think this is why young men are leaving the Democratic Party.
Because
Oh my God, dude.
We don't like neo-Nazis?
Because Trump condemned neo-Nazis, and you're trying to make the case why he actually did.
Can we talk? Can you bring up the Snopes article that you brought up?
Where Trump said, not the Nazis, and...
Well, here's the thing, is like, if you look at that article, yeah, obviously...
The Snopes article is so fucking cringe. I can't believe that they cringed out so hard.
A good job. They're like, we are here to report on the factual thing of what Trump said.
Yep.
But you brought this up with Autumn Conover. Scroll down. Can you read that editor's note?
Some readers have raised the objection that this fact check appears to assume Trump was correct in saying there were very fine people on both sides of the Charlottesville incident. That's not the case. The fact check aimed to confirm that Trump actually said, not whether what he said was true or false. For the record, virtually every source that covered the Unite the Right debacle concluded that it was conceived of, led by, and attended by white supremacists, and therefore Trump's characterization was wrong.
Right. So, like, most of the people in the media...
I didn't see that they'd added that note. Good job.
Narrative around this as a whole was that Trump is not condemning white nationalists at this rally that killed a person.
I'm just going to say it again. This is why young men are leaving the Democratic Party.
Good job.
Can you address the point I'm bringing up?
I
August 11th happened.
I'll say it right now. Who did Trump describe specifically as the fine people?
So on August 11th,
who did Trump describe as the fine people he was?
He said the people that weren't the neo-Nazis and the racists. Who should
he specifically said some people who just didn't want to see statues torn down in their neighborhood.
So not those people. So everyone excluding those. And
so when Trump says like a little old lady
confirmed,
doesn't want a statue torn down as a fine person,
but that's who. Right. Where is this little old lady? Right. The point is, this was a white nationalist rally organized by Jason Kessler, a white nationalist, and with the scheduled speakers being David Duke, Mike Enoch, Richard Spencer. And so when you show up, you look at these promotional materials. The news
they should be condemned totally.
And the news.
But he didn't initially.
It's on this is going to be a white nationalist rally, and then you show up and you're like, well, I know I'm one of the 4,000 other Nazi people here, but I'm just here to protest the statue. Do you think those people like existed and like this is specifically this one or two people?
They did actually, and it's also if you look at like the history of how these organizations operate throughout American.
I can't, dude. Luigi Mangione shares 27 things he's grateful for ahead of his federal murder trial. Last month on May 6th, I turned 27 years old. To mark the occasion, I took time to reflect on 27 things I'm grateful for. 1, my friends for being there when I needed it most. 2, my family for redacted. My personal life is none of your business. 3, the many talented and generous individuals who, if not for my current predicament, I never would have crossed paths with. 4, letters I spent each day between the same 4 walls of my unit where I received both holiday cards sent in December and birthday cards sent between March and May, creating a bizarre and disorienting Groundhog Day scenario where every day is both Christmas and my May 6th birthday. Nonetheless, I'm incredibly grateful. The monotony of my physical environment is offset by the variety and richness of the lives I experience through letters. Multi-page life stories, retellings of workplace conversations, stream of consciousness, journal entries, admissions of greatest fears, eager recaps of recent triumphs, mothers reliving senseless tragedies, soulful creations, generous offers, advice. The MDC mailroom, which has to date photocopied and processed thousands of letters sent to me from over 40 countries. Your efforts are appreciated by so many. Memes, as one of my wisest correspondents put it, laughter is louder than logic and makes a lot more sense. The countless books I've been sent. While I'll never read the vast majority of them, I've loved facilitating this collective practice in Sundoku, and I've distributed these books to many grateful inmates. My favorites include Ayn Rand's Anthem, Patrick Bet-David's Your Next 5 Moves, and Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. Independent media creators, publications like The American Prospect, citizen documentarians like Jumi Kim, and citizen journalists, of which there are too many to name. My cellmate Jay, who, despite spending half of every day inside a shared birdcage and being sentenced to a decade away from his 6 kids and who he loves, tolerates the clutter of all my papers. Chicken Thursdays, keyboard shortcuts. 30,000 individuals on the globe who have come together to donate over $1 million to my legal fund. Karen Friedman Agnifilo, other members of my legal team. Latinas for Mangione. Everyone who donated to my commissary account. The Bop Music Catalog. The trials that I've endured. My lucky long sleeve, hearts, the creatives, the conservatives, the liberals, being born in America, free speech, and finally, censored. Wow. I cry every time.
Essentially defining modern human rights campaigning, and now latterly the author of a truly brilliant book, Righting Wrongs: 3 Decades on the Front Lines Battling Abusive Governments. And I think the reason that has stayed with me so much is he sits down with truly hideous humans. You know, I mean, I may get some of the details wrong, but in Bashar al-Assad or Saddam Hussein, people visiting appalling treatments on their own people, their own citizens. And my somewhat childish approach, or my somewhat immature approach to hideous people, is to avoid them like the plague. You somehow endorse their regime by breaking bread with the leader. It's really silly. Sometimes you need to meet deeply impressive people to realize your own mistakes, don't you? Sometimes you almost need other people to lead by example. If you want to get someone released from prison in an authoritarian regime, you have to do stuff with that authoritarian regime. It's no good wearing a badge or waving a flag or turning up at Speaker's Corner on Sunday morning to condemn that regime and all who sail in her. You want to get these people out of prison. You want to protect populations from vicious dictators. You have to deal with those regimes. You have to deal with those individuals.
What am I watching this for?
And I can't believe I'm today years old before I really got my head around that. And it was largely thanks to Kenneth Roth and his book, Righting Wrongs, 3 decades on the front line. And that's what I mean by the difference between diplomacy.
I call again for immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the hostages. The hostages.
Sorry.
I call again for immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the sausages. The hostages. And a recommitment to the two-state solution.
The fuck? What was this linked?
Diplomatic community.
Damn.
It's just been revoked.
The legendary Bonger misspeak. Oh shit.
Mr. Speaker, the first point of recapitalisation was to save banks that would otherwise have collapsed. And we not only saved the world, saved the banks and saved the banks and led the way. We not only saved the bank. To save the world's bank. We not only work with other countries to save the world's banking system, but not one depositor actually lost any money in Britain. And that is the first thing. The second thing is to get the banks into a position where they can resume lending. And that is why interest rates have come down by 3.5%, something the opposition said was not possible, but actually happened. And the third thing to do is to work to remove all the barriers to interest rates and to the lending of money by the banks, and that is what we are doing in discussion with the banks now. Now, the opposition may not like the fact that we led the world in saving the banking system, but we did.
Well, it's now on the record. He's so busy talking about saving the world, he's forgotten about the businesses in the country.
In contrast, the Bush one. What is this?
And Bill, I now recognize Mr. Moskowitz from Florida for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, for allowing me to wave on to today's committee under the rules of the Oversight Committee. I appreciate it, as I tried to wave on to a previous meeting and was barred. So I do appreciate you allowing me to attend today. You know, I was the first Democrat member to join the Doge caucus in Congress. Took a lot of crap for it, by the way. And I did it for the right reason, because I thought government can get smaller, government can save money, and government can be more efficient. That polls in the 80s. Most Americans know that. And I thought we were really interested in the E part of Doge, efficiency. Okay? But ask yourself, what have we made more efficient in the 6 months that Doge has been around. Yeah, there are things we have found that shouldn't exist. But name a department, name a system, name a service that this committee or the caucus or Elon has made more efficient. They said they were going to find $1 trillion. They fell 85% short. Look, government is inefficient. But the Doge caucus and process was like, hold my beer. Let me show you what inefficiency really looks like. Okay? The Doge
hold my beer. Epic internet meme.
Caucus hasn't met in months. It had 2 meetings. Congress wasn't involved at all in the process in the executive branch. Elon's gone. The effort's dead. Buried rigor mortis is setting in. I feel ill talking of the dead. I shouldn't do that. But I mean, seriously.
They're just getting started, guys.
That is the key example for the American people. You want to talk about how did we make government more efficient? We didn't. We made government the Newark airport. And by the way, now that the national divorce is happening with Elon Musk, and I'm a child of divorce, okay? I mean, who's going to get big balls? I'm worried about him in the divorce. The children always get caught in the middle, right? And so I just, if he's out there, I just want him to know we're rooting for him. Certainly, we've not made FEMA more efficient. The administrator apparently doesn't know there's a hurricane season. Wait till he finds out there's 5 categories. We're going to blow his mind. Nothing has been made more efficient by Doge. No new technology in any of these departments. No lower costs. Hasn't happened, right? We promised to tackle the national deficit and debt. They haven't done that. They've made it worse by the big, bloated abomination bill, okay? I mean, Elon has turned on them, but he's telling the truth. The bill will add to the deficit, and it will add to the debt. And so, listen, I ask my colleagues, point to me one thing we've made more efficient. If you want to drop the E from Doge, because we've not done efficiency, that's fine. We can rename it. We can always rebrand. They're great at that. But nothing has been made more efficient. Here are the wins for congressional Republicans. You ready? They're going to do a $9 billion rescission bill, okay, which they're going to get rid of Elmo, which the American people were clamoring for, okay? But they're going to add $2.4 trillion to the debt, $9 billion versus $2.4 trillion. And then they want us to cheer for them, give them a trophy like they're a 5-year-old at a soccer game. Everyone gets a trophy.
Is that the projected deficit increase? Do we have like an actual projection on what on how much we're going to have to borrow? Do we have that yet? This was the first link. Estimated budget impact. View document. Net effect on the deficit. I'm a retard. Make this simple for me. 2020 or 2025 to 2034. This is just the effect on the from just that bill, though. I was just curious if we have like a budget. Oh no, wait. Estimated outlays, estimated revenues, net effect on the deficit. But that's over 10 years. Jesus. Over 10 years, it'll reduce government spending by 1.25 trillion. It'll reduce revenues by 3.7 trillion. And then added together, it would then add to the deficit by 2.4 trillion over 10 years, so 240 billion a year. Jesus. When are we supposed to know? In CBO's projections, the federal budget deficit in fiscal year 2025 will be $1.9 trillion. Okay, so not the worst ever. It'll be the third worst ever, with the worst ever being 2020 under Trump, the second worst ever being 2021 under Biden, and then Biden cut the budget deficit in half from 21 to 22. Then it increased a bit in 2023. We don't have 2024s yet? Or is that still like being calculated, or? You have the range set to 2023. I think it's automatically set there.
For their participation. Okay. By the way, these.
Holy 2018 Trump, what happened? Oh yeah, don't ever let these fuckers lie to you. Like, Trump was fucking the deficit up. Obama was left in 2016 fiscal year, right? So we came in under housing crisis bullshit. Okay. And then we had, after this, we had $586 billion deficit. And then the next year under Trump was 665. Then the next year was 779. And then the next year was 984. It was getting worse every single year. And then you get your huge COVID shit happening. But like Trump was spending like crazy, right? Like here, he was moving this in the other direction. But whatever, you know. What are you gonna do?
Things I'm bringing up, Republicans themselves, including the chairwoman, have expressed their frustration that Congress has not codified anything at all. And so, look, it's interesting. Elon just retweeted this. When are we going to flatten the curve? It's fascinating. We're using COVID graphics and COVID slogans. This is the debt. This isn't COVID cases. Okay? And yet, my Republican colleagues who have always talked about the debt and deficit. I went out, I bought the debt clock that Thomas Massey wears, $99, by the way. I don't know if that's a great deal, but, you know, like 2-hour battery life. He told me you got to, like, if you dim the screen, it'll last a little longer. Wow, it's still going up. Doesn't seem like these Doge cuts, right, or this rescission bill have handled anything with a debt or deficit. And so, yeah, look, yeah, Elon is, we love dark Elon now. Oh, yeah, this is interesting times. Right? And Republicans will say, oh, wait, he was a patriot. He left his companies. He was doing the right thing. That's what they said for 6 months. Now they're saying, well, he's just mad because he's losing his EV credits. He didn't get his Starlink thing. They got rid of his NASA administrator. Okay? Look, we got to do this together, guys, on a bipartisan basis to tackle the debt. I asked the Speaker to put a budget commission together to get Democrats and Republicans on a bipartisan basis to tackle the debt. But that bill should die. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
The gentleman.
Damn. This is a real human being that can vote. Why are they hating on my boy?
Lighting is pretty realistic, actually.
Where's my volume control?
I know from playing Flight Sim, this is what real life lighting looks like from the sky.
What? I don't even know what the joke is. He says lighting is pretty realistic, actually. I know from my playing Flight Sim, this is what real life lighting looks like from the sky.
Again, I just want to say
Well, I can't change the volume!
this game because up to this point,
Okay. So all my clips now are fucked. Everything we watch on Twitter now is just going to be fucked because I have no more volume control for some reason. I can't right click. Really?
I looked at my emails to find whether or not the Department of Homeland Security had responded to my redress. And I looked through my emails to find whether or not the Department of Homeland Security had responded to my redress over my trip. I also found out that a while back, they had also revoked my global entry. So I finally got a response back from the Department of Homeland Security, but they had already taken away my global entry clearance months prior. You know, they revoked it before my entry, and I didn't even know.
Wait, so what even happened? So he went through the global entry line, and then they didn't even pull him in for an entry interview, for a global entry initial interview, like for conditional approval. They just, what even happened? I don't even know what happened. Well,
and what's even crazier is at no point did they even mention that they had revoked my global entry.
Did you have like a number, or did you have anything for? You get like a card, don't you? I have global entry. I know I've done this. When you come back, you do the. I wonder if I made this all up in my head. Hold on. Where do you look up if you have global entry? Let me check. And before I actually don't actually have this, and I made everything up, and I'm the true liar. Global entry. Is there like a login to check? I feel like I've seen a page that doesn't say anything. Is there, hello, global entry, login. Login.gov. Imagine if this website just had like all of your government related shit on one site. Do you think it does? Your account. Your connected accounts. Oh, it kind of does. That's actually kind of cute. Social Security, Department of Treasury, Trusted Traveler programs. Oh shit. Global entry, $120. I wonder if I just had conditional approval. Maybe I never actually did do this. Wait, what the fuck? Oh no, I did do this. Whew, okay. I thought I fabricated memories. Oh. Approved. And then you get a number, membership number / pass ID. They would have to, this information, I feel like this has to be on file, because when you come back, I don't know when I traveled last internationally. When you come back, you've got the normal line, and then you've got like the global entry line. And for you to go through the global entry line, you have to have, you have to be in that system. You can't just like walk through. Doesn't it show on your boarding pass? I don't know, I don't remember. I know TSA pre does. I feel like this guy's story is like completely falling apart. Like what the fuck even happened now? The timeline was completely off. It sounds like you went through the wrong fucking line.
And I looked through my emails to find whether or not the Department of Homeland Security had responded to my redress.
Because in total, he was detained for maybe 30 minutes, maybe?
Over my trip. I also found out that a while back.
So he tried to walk through global entry with an expired card? No, he wasn't even approved for it. He had no approval. What?
They had also revoked my global entry. So I finally got a...
So he says revoked here. I don't know if he's being like intentionally retarded or if he's just slow. Or if it's the finasteride is like rotting his brain. Maybe it has to borrow from some of your neurons to regrow the hair follicles. It doesn't sound like they were... Or I'm sorry, actually, hold on. I was mean... Did they revoke it or did he just never get approved? Let me listen again. I'm sorry.
And I looked through my emails to find whether or not the Department of Homeland Security had responded to my redress
Oh yeah,
over
what was the
my
email
trip.
again? Show me the email again.
I also found out that a while back, they had also revoked my global entry. So I finally got a response back from the Department of Homeland Security, but they had already taken away my global entry clearance months prior. You know, they revoked it before my entry, and I didn't even know. And
revoked or denied? Okay, we regret to inform you that your membership of global entry has been revoked for the following reasons. You do not meet the program eligibility requirements. What? I'm so confused on what the timeline for all this is, because he said that he applied for global entry one time, and then he said that he missed the interview, or he went to the interview but he didn't bring his passport. Then he said that, oh no, fuck, hold on, I just had a brain blast. I hope this is not true. Wait, let me read this. Dear Hassan Piker, thank you for submitting your traveler inquiry form and identity documentation to the Department of Homeland Security Traveler Redress Inquiry Program regarding your participation in the Global Entry Program. CBP is tasked with protecting our nation's borders. Routinely access information provided by these agencies. All international travelers have to enter the U.S., including all blah, 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 blah. After careful review, we've determined that your global entry program membership was revoked because you do not meet the guidelines for program participation. An individual is ineligible to participate in the Trusted Traveler Program if CBP at its sole discretion determines the individual potential risk of terrorism, criminality, violating customs, agriculture, and immigration laws, or otherwise not a low-risk traveler. This risk determination will be based in part on the applicant's ability to demonstrate past compliance with laws, regulations, policies, reasons why. Okay, the applicant provides false or incomplete information on the application. What, is there a chance? All of this is such bullshit at this point. Here's what I'm curious about. Because he didn't post any dates on these emails, did he? I wonder if he said that he applied for it. And when you apply for global entry, I think you can get like a conditional approval. Then, but it sounds like he actually had an interview. So it sounds like he applied for it. And then he said he drove to the office to do the interview, but that he left his passport at home, and he didn't have an ID for it, and so he went home and he missed that. I wonder if he got like conditionally approved, scheduled the interview, went to the interview, and then he didn't bring his passport, and then this is the email that they sent afterwards saying, "I'm sorry, we have to revoke your global entry," and the revocation is just for the conditional approval. I have no idea though. I'm just guessing. The timeline in the story, none of this like makes sense. Like all of this just feels so weird now. Like I don't understand how you go through the global entry line if you don't even have it. You're telling me that the U.S. border systems would just let anybody walk through the global entry line and they wouldn't even be able to ID that you didn't have global entry? Or it just doesn't make sense. And then months later, this dipshit just walks into the line thinking he has access. Or he didn't go through that line. He literally just went through the normal ass line. And then just got pulled aside for random questioning. I mean, do they actually do conditional approval? That kind of defeats the purpose. No, because you submit like an app. Fuck me, dude. I hate mobile. You submit an application, and then as long as there's no red flags, you can just take the interview. You get conditionally approved, and you can take the interview on your first international flight back to the United States. When you return, you can do the interview then. His redress inquiry, doesn't that imply that he asked shit to the DHS? Wait, where does he say... Does this say anything about a redress, or was that just what he said? Thank you for submitting your traveler inquiry form and identity documentation to the Department of Homeland Security Traveler Redress Inquiry Program. Okay. So it did get revoked. Why would he not bring this up on stream? Like, I'm so confused. Because this is just a thing that he would make content off of, right? Like if he was in the middle of streaming 4 months ago and they refused his global entry application, you don't think he would say something about that? Like, oh my God, guys, they're coming after me for my political speech. Like, this is so bullshit. They wouldn't even let me get global entry. Like, I don't understand why he wouldn't say anything about this. He said he didn't see the email. Not sure that. Well, wouldn't you search for it? If you're traveling internationally, you would have to. If you travel internationally, when you're filling in your information on your tickets, there's a thing there for known traveler number, and that'll have you put in your TSA pre or global entry or nexus number. So you'd have to put his number in there. So you'd have to go and look it up. You don't think at any point in this, you wouldn't think like, oh, do I actually fucking have global entry? Do you get a card? I think you can request one, but you have like a number. I don't believe any of this. I think it's all just a fucking lie. But he milked the fuck out of it, so it's already like success. Like he did it. I mean, he milked the fuck out of all of this, so. What are the odds that he legit just found out about this now? I feel like I don't think that they would let you go through like an accelerated line without being approved and nobody would say anything. They wouldn't pull you aside for an interview. They would just say like, oh, you're not in this, like go to the other line. What do you think the reality was? Well, as far as the stop, everything he describes, it sounds like he just got pulled aside for random questioning. Sounds like it was like about 15 minutes long. I think he basically admits as much now. He was on that stream, and I think he admitted as much. It was basically 15 minutes long. It was normal questioning, and then he went through. You do get a card for global entry. I mean, you might be able to request one, but I don't think you need it. Like, I think I have an option to order a digital, order a card, but you just need the number, I think. And then everything is like eyes. I don't know if they do fingerprints. They probably do. Wouldn't this naturally come up during the questioning? Why are you in the GE line? You don't have a GE retard? No. It wouldn't come up during questioning. You wouldn't make it through the line. Like, pictures, airport, immigration, entry. What airport was he at? Was he at O'Hare? I don't know which one he said he came through. O'Hare? I don't know if I've ever flown back into O'Hare internationally, but all the others I've come back in internationally. You have, there'll be like 2 different lines. One will be for like global entry, Nexus. I think Nexus is like Canada, USA, Mexico. I might be totally making that up. I think it's something like that. And then one line is just normal, where you go to these machines and you fill it out. But my guess is going to be that if you go to the global entry line, you try to get through there, and you don't have global entry, you won't be able to pass the machine. Usually, once you go to these machines, you'll get a slip that'll have a picture on it, and your name or whatever, some info, and then you go to the guys and you hand it to them. But you wouldn't get anything if you don't have global entry. The machine just it would say like not found or not or whatever, and you'd have to go to the other line. I don't know. All of this is weird. There's too much weird shit here, and he's already like a liar. Like I don't know. I don't trust any of this. I think the whole story is bullshit. But it's like airport security related shit, and he doesn't think anybody's ever gonna like publish anything about it and call him out, which is probably true. I mean, he got away with it, so. Video of O'Hare.
5 more minutes. Here, U.S. O'Hare German lanes for U.S.
Usually, maybe this isn't the case ever, but they get mad at you when you have phones out here. Even in lines for immigration, I don't know why, like no phones.
Citizens tree over here. Our guy is still walking. As you can see, the signs over here: U.S. citizens and visitors, crew and active military. Back in the days, they used to have separate lanes for U.S. citizens and visiting. All right, guys, we were told.
Why is it bad for him to lie about this? Because he tried to make it sound like he got pulled over for having viewpoints that are contrary to the Trump admin, and then bullied or hassled or harassed for that. He's presented no evidence of that. His story has fallen apart under the slightest bit of publicly available data, under the littlest bit of scrutiny. And then he walked back his story basically immediately on that podcast. And he got like fucking international fame and articles and all this shit published for it, trying to show some shit that didn't ever happen, because he just wants to feel like a victim, and he wants to feel included in the public narrative over this.
Not to make a video of the immigration and custom, obviously. So
oh, they did tell him to put his phone away, yeah. Because normally in the lines here, they'll tell you to put your phone away.
U.S. citizens and visiting. All right, guys, we were told not to make a video of the immigration and custom, obviously, so we're out of the immigration and custom, and this is.
Okay, right.
Entry line.
This is such a waste of time, because no one's going to give a fuck.
And they're processing everybody expeditiously. You walk up, boom, immediately they take your photo of your face, and you walk in, and there's a customs person there, cop there, just basically waves you, okay? And they do that over and over again. It gets to me. Take a photo, boom, walk in, instantly. The Customs and Border Patrol agent goes, "Step aside, sir." I was like, here we go, all right? She goes, "Step aside, sir. An agent will come and take you to another location." I was like, is that proper protocol? I was like, sometimes it happens. And I was like, okay. And I knew at that point, I was like, okay, I'm texting like family. I'm like, this is happening. I'm texting my manager. You know, I was basically I got Lolo on. I was like, listen, you know, I'm going in, all right? I'm freaking going in. Who knows how long this will take.
Like, we have the timelines on all of this. And when the plane landed, when that Lolo guy tweeted, like, he was probably questioned for like 15 minutes. Somebody link him talking about this to Bad Empanada and Noah Sampson, because he basically says as much. Somebody give me the timestamp on that, because I think it's a huge walk back. But nobody gave a fuck.
What will happen? I had already heard like horror stories from people. There was like that one girl on TikTok that had talked about this, and I thought to myself, all right, it's done. It's happening to me as well. It is what it is. You know, M is real high. I'm about to say M is real high multiple times to get these guys off my back. So I'm waiting in the corner. This Latina ICE agent comes up, picks me up, takes me to this detention center. I sit down, fluorescent light bulbs, the whole nine. Okay, they have benches in the back of O'Hare Airport where there's like a detention area. Okay, there's a detention area. I'm sitting there. There's like a bunch of terrified families. Okay, there's an old lady in a wheelchair. There's like a mom and daughter behind me. There's some like random dude in front of me, and
I love them. Wait, fuck. Was this an Instagram reel or was this a YouTube video? When white people mention race, no reason. Fuck. What am I thinking of? I'm not gonna be able to find this. I feel like it was a reel. White mom mentions race, no reason. God damn it. I think it was an Instagram reel. It's like when your mom, like, so yesterday I was at the store and this very nice Nigerian looking man, like if they were non-white, they always just like, man, it's like, why? I don't know. Fuck, I'm not gonna be able to find it though.
The way it works is there's a back door.
Wait, so is Pisco just retarded? He seems to think he was totally vindicated that Assange was detained for protected speech. Wait, what link? Unless Pisco has access to information. I think Pisco goes a little bit crazy on the, wants to be contrarian around some narratives, but Hassan has provided absolutely zero evidence whatsoever that anything happened related to anything like that had to do with his viewpoint. There's been zero evidence presented so far of that, and plenty of reasons to believe that that's not the case of what happened.
Right? And they take your passport, they go to the back door, you don't know what the hell's going on in there, but they sometimes come out and they just say someone's name with their passport in their hands, and they go, you're clear to leave. Basically.
Wait, so I was completely correct that Assange was detained in question for his protected political speech, LOL. There's been zero evidence, unless he has access to secret stuff. Actually saying how many people tried to gaslight in defense, I should obscure Trump administration assaulted free speech. Yeah, there's just been zero evidence of this happening whatsoever. Don't get caught up in dumb narratives like this. There's so many good reasons to attack the Trump admin. You don't have to bite on every single thing and then look unhinged. This is, unless there's something that is, unless something's been released that I haven't seen.
So, how's the dentist?
It was polite.
Oh, fuck, it was this.
Oh, I got the wrong time, didn't I? So I arrived there and the woman behind reception, she was Muslim. And she was so helpful, really good. And so she got me to see someone else because they didn't have my normal dentist in. So I had a Serbian guy.
Were you talking about that? Or?
No, but he's from around there somewhere. And he was great. He just sorted me all out. It was brilliant. And then on the way out, there was a gay man.
You chatting to him?
No, but you could tell. He looked fabulous.
Why? Based. Fuck. So I just want to round me out with this. Round me out with the. It was the Noah Sampson, Hassan, Bad Empanada stream.
I bet you.
I will find this. Linkers have failed. Now it's all up to me. Got it. I found it because I'm a god. Okay, now just remember, hold on.
When they bring you to the detention area, they, I guess, do some kind of surveillance on your background to figure out if you are going to get harassed even further or if this level of harassment is fine, okay? And I asked, and I looked around at all the passports that people had to see if there were other American citizens. And lo and behold, at least in the area that I was at, I was the only American citizen. There was another guy that actually had an American passport as well, because I asked the terrified family behind me, I was like, hey guys, if you don't mind me asking, like, do you guys have an American passport? They were like, no. So.
Let me see where I can.
Labor unions there. So I've been in a situation where I've been like stuck in France and stuff. Like I had to do crazy maneuvering to get out. So I knew that. And because I knew that, I was like, I'll go 3 hours early. It's something that I never. No, let me go. I don't know what's happening here. I got detained. I didn't get detained. Yes, chatter. Yes. ICE agents took me to a detention center. That is a de facto.
Took me to a detention center. They walked him 10 yards to the room that you sit and do customs interviews when you're coming back. Took me to a detention center.
Oh, detention. Like, what are you talking about? The total runtime of it was like 2 hours, which was definitely faster than I thought it was going to be, I will admit. And
total runtime was 2 hours, he says. And I believe that gets reported over and over again in the news articles about this. Okay. Total runtime. Remember that. 2 hours. 2 hours. Okay. And then What does he say here? Hold on.
No, they are servile dogs to American interests because primarily they want to diversify their investment portfolios. They want to get a stronger foothold in Western capital. They want Western capital to come into the country, and they care about those things. And they know that, and also they like the weapons and possibly get a nuke. And all of those
if they
things.
wanted a nuke, they would already have it. No one's stopping them.
I think Donald
They
Trump
might already have it, honestly.
I don't know. I don't know if they already have it or not, but by the end of Trump's presidency, I don't know how long that'll be. They probably will have one.
What do you think the world will look like at the end of Trump's presidency?
Nah, dude, I have no fucking idea. I don't know. He's the great peacekeeper.
Did you see that Dan Saltman, this is totally unrelated, did you see that Dan Saltman called you out because it's possible that your interview was 50 minutes instead of 2 hours? What do you have to say to that, Hassan?
It comes out.
Now remember, total runtime, 2 hours. He was giving a play-by-play of everything that happened. Okay, he had his phone on him. He was tweeting. He said 2 hours, and then Dan Saltman accused him of it only being 15 minutes, right? That's a pretty egregious... That's an egregious way. It's not like from 1 hour to or it's not like it was like 2 hours. It's like really like an hour and a half, maybe an hour, Chief. This is from 2 hours to 15 minutes. That's a huge reduction in time.
Yeah, dude, that was really funny because I think he openly admitted that he's lying, and it doesn't matter that he's lying, and what matters is the narrative.
Oh, sorry, 50 minutes instead of 2 hours. Okay, so just a little under half. My bad. But regardless, he did say 2 hours. He's a total runtime 2 hours.
Here, I need to, this is your entertainment, okay? I'm a CBP officer. I'm Iraqi. Saddam was a lion. And also, Saddam was a lion.
Yeah, he was a Baathist.
Every Iraqi I've ever met has told me that Saddam was a lion. And also, so how long was the interview?
Oh, I don't fucking know, dude.
Now he doesn't know? How many different news articles were written with the hours? Mr. Piker said he was questioned for 2 hours. Held for 2 hours at an airport in Chicago. How does he abandon that number fucking instantly? The reason why is because he was lying the whole time, and once it got fact-checked, he didn't even want to try to defend it, which is smart on his point. He's like, he knows 100% that it's fucking bullshit, and he just immediately dumped the entire topic.
And also, so how long was the interview?
Oh, I don't fucking know, dude.
I don't fucking know, dude. Hours, detained for hours by U.S. officials.
No idea.
I have no idea now. I have no idea. No idea.
He's I think they did a...
you probably weren't counting.
They did a timeline assessment, and I think they added some time to when the plane landed or something. I don't fucking know. Who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? This disgusting subhuman fucking piece of shit, okay, who will fluidly switch between Turkish, Islamic, white, brown, whatever he needs to be a parasitic cancer, a leech off of whatever political moment exists for the smallest crumb of clout anywhere, okay, manages to worm his way into, a million different articles about this, what is probably still to this day the single largest example of the Trump admin fixating or focusing on somebody coming into the border, a U.S. citizen, simply for political beliefs, right? Is probably the example, and now he doesn't give a fuck about it. This is not good for a variety of reasons, guys, right? These are the types of stories that once all this shit is over with, conservatives point back on and say hey, look, you guys were fucking lying, right? That was bullshit, right? You guys admit that, right? That at least this was fucking bullshit. It's yeah, this story was fucking bullshit.
I mean, I don't know, it's Hassan Piker was only interviewed for...
How does this prove to Pisco? I don't know why Pisco. I think Pisco is just a little bit too unhinged on the anti-Trump shit. He should know better, though. There's no excuse. There's no reason. This is even if we dump all the facts and we don't know anything about the situation, even if we don't know anything about it, right? Imagine... I'm just trying to think of any emotional event in my life, something where I feel like I was super wrong or something was really fucked. And I say something yeah, I was subjected to this. And then some other guy's I checked and you were subjected to 1/10 of that. You totally fucking lied. And then my response would be, I don't know. I don't remember. Who cares? Who gives a shit? What do you mean? The whole world gave a shit. Apparently, there were 50 different articles published on it. What do you mean? Who gives a shit?
Officer, I'm Iraqi. Saddam was a lion. And also, Saddam was a lion.
Yeah, he was a Baathist.
Every Iraqi I've ever met has told me that Saddam was a lion. And also, so how long was the interview?
Oh, I don't fucking know, dude. I have no idea.
It's just so crazy from doing a whole stream breakdown of events, multiple interviews with mainstream media, and playing this event playing it up so much to I don't know anything about it. I don't give a, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? What do you, why would you, why would you not give a shit? This is an important thing, right? This is, if you were getting pulled aside and you're getting questioned simply for a political viewpoint, that's an extraordinary thing. Because to even get to that point, there's a lot of stuff that must have gone wrong. There would have had to have been an order from the top. It would have had to filter down through management. It would have had to go down to employees, and it would have had to have been implemented in airports, and then it must be in practice right now, right? And there's a lot of people that would have been aware of this if that whole process has taken place, and no one said anything, and it must be in practice right now in all airports in the USA, like.
Oh, I don't fucking know, dude. I have no idea. He's I think they did a.
I mean, you probably weren't counting.
They did like a timeline assessment, and I think they like added some time to like when the plane landed or something. I don't fucking know. Like, who gives a shit?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's like Hassan Piker was only interviewed for 30 minutes. Okay, so what? I mean, they interviewed you like in
Notice how his first question was 50 minutes. Now Bad Empanadas kind of joking. He says 30 minutes, and Hassan still isn't correcting him. So what was it? Was it like 10 minutes? 5 minutes? Did it even happen at all? Is there a chance that it didn't actually even happen? Is there a chance that when Hassan was pulled aside, what actually happened was he tried to go through the global entry line and they said, hey, two things. One, you're not allowed through the global entry line because you never got approved. And two, put your phone away because you're in immigration. And Hassan said, oh God, I'm getting detained. And he put his phone in his pocket and he said that. And then he just went through the 20-minute line for immigration and nothing actually happened whatsoever. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? Hassan doesn't. Even though every single minute of your life is regulated when you're in an airport. You know when you landed. It's available on the Google thing. You know when you're leaving the airport. You've got records for Uber. You know when you're in an area with cell reception, you're texting people, letting people know you landed. You know, like, you have the full timeline. You know every single thing. You know every single part of this journey. You probably minute by minute if you check your phone, right? Fuck, I could probably go through minute by minute of me in the airport with Nathan this morning because I know exactly what I was looking at when I was sitting there waiting in line. I could go through my DGG logs and say like, oh, I'm in the line waiting for this. Oh, we got to go through this, approval here. I got to wait at the gate. I got to do like this is crazy to be like, I don't know. I have no idea. Don't know anything about this. No clue what happened here.
It's like Hassan Piker was only interviewed for 30 minutes. Okay, so what? I mean, they interviewed you like in the place where they take the.
What is this? So this first piece of tweet is completely wrong. No, this was revoked months before the incident. So his detainment was due to a revocation of a global entry based on protected speech. This is just, Piso is just saying this, asserting there's no evidence. He has no evidence that this is based on protected speech. He has no reason to believe this. And he was additionally stopped. Oh, he doesn't even know why the revocation of global entry happened. Piso has no idea. There's literally multiple things listed here. You have no clue whatsoever. You don't know why. And he was additionally stopped and questioned on that exact same rationale. And he also, Pisco doesn't know that. Pisco is literally just fabricating stuff here. This is really, 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 really bad. Oof, where's Rob Noor at? This would be the exact debate that I would want to take up. Oh, man. It's viewpoint discrimination rationale for the stop and question, regardless of how you slice it. Yeah, there's literally zero. Destiny, Pisco is inferring this based on the admin's actions in other cases. Okay. One, I haven't heard of any case or anything having to do with a revocation of global entry because of a viewpoint thing. Two, we could dig through the cases that have happened, but for people being stopped and questioned. But it seems like there's always some extra thing happening. It's not just on their viewpoint. There's something else as well. Yeah, like based on this revocation and based on the fact that this was months ago, because Hassan didn't attach a date, it's possible that this global entry thing was revoked when Biden was still in office. This could have happened before January 20th or whatever. This could have happened before Trump was even in office. If his stop was based on a revocation, which is unlawful viewpoint discrimination, then the stop itself is grounded in unlawful viewpoint discrimination. What? No. Moreover, he wasn't just told to get in normie line. He was specifically questioned on similar topics. Okay, this is a super delusional take. I don't know if you just really dug in on this or
non-citizens.
Yeah, the point of contention.
The email said his status was revoked because they suspect he presented a risk for terrorism, criminality, etc. Did they? I thought there was a huge list of things that were here where it could have been. Reasons why an applicant may not qualify for participation include, but are not limited to, the applicant provides false or incomplete information. Oh, wait, or maybe this is a broad list of things why. Or no, wait. I don't think, did it tell us exactly why? Reasons why an applicant may not qualify. And then it lists all of these things. We don't know why. Read above the bullet list. It says that you do not meet the guidelines for program participation. An individual is ineligible to participate in the Trusted Traveler program if CBP, at its sole discretion, determines that an individual presents a potential risk for terrorism, criminality, violating customs, agriculture, and/or immigration laws, or is otherwise not a low-risk traveler. This risk determination will be based in part on the applicant's ability to demonstrate past compliance with laws, regulations, and policies. Reasons why an applicant may not qualify for participation include, but are not limited to, the applicant provides false or incomplete information, the applicant has been arrested for or convicted of any criminal offense, or is denied firearms transactions, pending criminal charges, protection orders, or outstanding warrants in any country. The applicant has been found in violation of any customs, immigration, or agriculture regulations. Procedural application is the subject of investigation by any federal, state, or local law enforcement agency in any country. The applicant is inadmissible to the U.S. under applicable immigration laws, known for suspected of having engaged in conduct constituting in preparation for an aid of or related to terrorism. The applicant cannot satisfy CBP of his or her low risk status. I don't think we know specifically why. Like, what I'm curious about, and because Hassan is like trickling out info here, I wonder if this was like a response to him being rejected because he didn't show up with his passport, and they denied it because of that. The applicant provides false or incomplete information on the application, maybe, but I don't know because we don't know all the info here. But whatever. Could be for Hassan's DUI too. I wonder if they would reject it for a DUI. I'm sure they could, but I wonder if they actually would.
There isn't like the length of my interrogation. The point of contention there is the fact that they asked me about like what my loyalty is to Donald Trump, or
like no one asked you about your loyalty to Donald Trump, right? So it's crazy that he wants to downplay the time that he was hyperbolic on, and then he says, well, that doesn't matter. What actually matters is this other thing that now he's going to be hyperbolic on.
Yeah, people were trying to frame it like this is normal. Like this is something that happens to everyone when you internationally travel. No, when you internationally travel and they ask you questions, like they were comparing this to like, oh, you get asked when you give them your passport, and this is business or pleasure. They think it's the same fucking thing.
Yeah, no,
you were literally pulled aside for like an interview that they usually only give to like foreigners.
Yeah,
to ask you about basically whether you're a terrorist.
But also, what's funny about it is that like the Department of Homeland Security admitted that it happened. So I don't know why they're like still running this narrative that like this did not happen actually, because like the DHS openly was like, it did happen, but it's routine. He's lying for likes for saying he was politically
You want to know who
targeted.
did lie about something?
He talks about the time on leading up to revocation. Listen for about 30 seconds from here. Ugh, I don't care about this. Nothing's going to come from this. So,
was it revoked before Trump's inauguration? No, after. After. I got conditional approval before, way before Trump. I got conditional approval in 2024. I got a full-blown approval notification after Donald Trump's inauguration on 2/6, and then the revocation on 3/5. And I didn't even know that it was revoked. And it's really interesting because when I entered the country through global entry.
Wait, I'm so confused. So he went from conditionally approved. That means you have to come back to the country, or you've got to go do an interview. But it got approved without him doing an interview? Or it wouldn't just randomly get approved. You have to do an interview at an airport. When I did it, you had to do an interview at the airport. But then he's saying that it got revoked after he did an interview. And then he said he didn't know that it got revoked. But I thought that the email that he posted was responding to a redress form. So how did he not know that it was revoked? What was the redress that he was asking for? Didn't it say that? Thank you for submitting your traveler inquiry form and identity documentation to the Department of Homeland Security Traveler Redress Inquiry Program. So what? Oh.
They didn't even actually tell me that I didn't have global entry.
Well, it sounds like they literally told you, or he's saying they didn't tell him at the airport. It sounds like they told him in an email.
At no point in that detention did they ever say, I don't have global entry. When the Customs and Border Patrol, when the Department of Homeland Security released a statement, they didn't say, like, it was not even a consideration at all, which is very interesting. I think they let you reapply in a year. I don't think I'm going to reapply in a year. Now, global entry simply is...
I think he's just lying.
Yo,
I think he made some shit up because he knew we'd get a story on it. I should just make shit up for my stuff. But when the FBI was at my house a week ago, he point blank said, you know there is no freedom of speech right now on the internet. He said that to me. I was like, that's kind of a fucked up thing to say. But I get what he was saying. You just be careful when you're making death threats, I guess. But my story is more scary than this bullshit. What the fuck? They showed up at my house.
Hassan, XUC reacted to your take on the ICE protest. Just wanted to say you're 100% right. You weren't defending property damage. You were making a moral consistency argument. If people are mad about businesses getting hit.
This is so stupid. It's so cringe. Whatever. I don't care. Stop. I don't care about the story anymore. I'm gonna have to do this with Dan tonight. I think he lied about all of this. I think
earlier this week.
I think almost the entire story is a fucking lie.
You've been doing. Head of the International Atomic Energy Agency said Iran had not been cooperating with the organization and that the agency could not certify Iran's program as peaceful. Rafael Grossi, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, has been supporting the talks between the United States and Iran. He joins us now live from Vienna. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again.
Yes, good to see you. So let's begin with those talks that I understand you've been working closely.
Are you meeting with the FBI saying that joke, or was that serious? No, I'm serious. I think they showed up because I think people were spamming them about me threatening to kill Gisticle or something. I thought when they showed up, I thought they were here for Trump-related stuff. I think it was like a week ago. I don't remember when I told the story. But there were 3 guys when they showed up. First, I thought I was getting swatted. Then I opened the door, and then they said they wanted to talk to me. And then they asked me, they always do are there weapons here? I'm like, I got a lot of weapons. And then they asked for an ID, and they were like, we're here because of statements you've made online. And I thought it was the 8647 shit. So we talked vaguely for like 2 minutes. And then eventually, the way that they were talking, I started to realize, like, wait a second, is this in regards to like internet guys? And then the guy like waited for me, and I was like, and then the 2 logistical and equipment, he's like, and then I was like, oh, okay. It was fucking retarded. They're not retarded. I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, the FBI has to follow up on when people are spam calling them and shit. But.
And intensely with the US and Iran. To what end? And
you just fucked up again. It was a swatting. True, actually, I did get swatted because that's probably the goal. Oh yeah, fuck. I should have taken notes or something or recorded it. Well, yeah, because when he can't. No. Oh fuck. Fuck! I just realized it was a swatting because when they came in, some of the first questions they were asking me were, do you feel like depressed or anything? Or are you like, okay? And I bet because whoever called in probably, because that's usually what you say, like he's suicidal, he has weapons, like he wants to do shit or whatever. And I bet I just realized that's probably why they asked me that. I was like, no, I don't have anything like that at all. And then they asked me about like, are you sure? Are you on any medications for anything or whatever? Then this is why is because whoever called in said that. So it probably was an attempted swatting. But I don't know why the FBI would come for a swatting. Usually that's going to be local law enforcement. Although I don't remember, but I might have already known these guys might have already seen me before because the FBI came when Mike was making death threats online and they showed up to talk to me and they were like, what's going on? Are you okay? There were people making death threats and I was like, it's a fucking nerd online. Like, it's fine. It doesn't matter. And they were like, okay, call us if you need anything. It might have been the same dude. I don't remember. I have no idea.
What can you tell us about your involvement?
Well, what I should say, what we should recognize first of all is that this.
Yeah, it was they probably filed a tip like on the online tip form. Swatting is probably done through 911. That's why they didn't show up with like the guns and SWAT team and everything.
This is a negotiation between the United States and Iran, and the negotiator is Special Envoy Ambassador Steve Witkoff, and the Foreign Minister of Iran, Dr. Abbas Araghchi, is the Iranian negotiator.
Whoa,
of course,
not as bad as that.
I talk to both very regularly because of the obvious reason, I would say, that any agreement, to be credible, to be serious, will have to be verifiable. And we are the agency that has been verifying Iran for decades. And it is, of course, to be expected that if we get to the point of an agreement, what they agree should be verifiable. There should be a system to ensure that all these principles that hopefully, and we can discuss about this, hopefully will will be reached at some point can be guaranteed as being observed. So our role is a supportive role at this stage, and we hope that if the process continues, then it will become more formal, more open.
Donald Trump has been asked about these negotiations quite a bit in the last few days. He told reporters at the White House on Monday this. I just want to play some sound.
They're just asking for things that you can't do. They seek enrichment. We can't have enrichment. We want just the opposite. And so far, they're not there. I hate to say that because the alternative is a very, very dire one.
This is like a Logitech gamer mic. Imagine Trump being on any of these panels, having to answer questions about this shit. Oh my God. Please. Okay, American media people do it. I need the international guys to do this, okay? I need the international guys to do this. Please, can somebody ask him the next time this comes up? President Trump, people are talking about enrichment. What do they mean? What does that mean when you talk about enriched uranium? Is the uranium they have right now, is it poor? Is it even uranium that they're talking about, sir? What does that mean? God, I would love it.
But they're not there.
We can't have enrichment. Those words from Donald Trump. Do you agree with President Trump that Iran should not be allowed to enrich uranium at all?
It's not for me to agree or disagree with the negotiating position of the president. I think the president has done something very, very important in reaching out to Iran. This is very, very important because there was no diplomatic platform. There were no conversations between Iran and the United States. And while this was happening, Iran continued enriching uranium at very, very high levels, at 60% of uranium, one uranium isotope, which is very, very close to the type of enrichment you need to make a nuclear weapon. So we were having a situation where we were on a collision course or a proliferation course, if I can put it like that, without anybody doing really anything. So I think
Jesus, what is the solidarity?
Course,
why Iran flies the Mexican flag too? What the fuck?
If I can put it like that, without anybody doing really anything. So I think this has been tremendously important, that this process has started, and of course, why not recognize it, that Iran engaged. But what I think the president is referring to there is, of course, the bone of contention that seems to be affecting the negotiations, which has to do with enrichment. And it is very clear that this technology, of course, because of its potential proliferation effects, needs to be addressed in a correct way. In abstract terms, no technology is forbidden. The problem here, or the situation here, is that there is an international concern. Sometimes my Iranian counterparts remind me of this. They say, well, all the technologies should be available for us, which in principle may be correct, but the other side of the coin is that there has been a patchy past, and there is a legitimate, I would say, concern, which I have been also echoing, when we see an accumulation at this point, more than 400 kilograms of uranium enriched at this very high level without a very clear, use in civilian. Theoretically, there are, but the reality is that Iran is the only country in the world that is doing this. So I see the concern not only on the part of the President of the United States, of course, which is essential, but in general in the international community. So the point here, and I think what Ambassador Witkoff and their counterparts are going to be discussing, is whether there can be a diplomatic formula, political formula, verifiable, where there can be that kind of restraint, which would allow a convergence, whereby the enrichment, its principle, perhaps some minimalistic formula that could be agreeable for both. Yeah. I don't think it is impossible. I don't think so.
Why? I don't know if that's an actual quote or if you just made that up, Maya. Quote, well, they say enrichment, and you know what that means. Enrichment to me means making it rich in a way, haha. And many smart people, the smartest people, some say, do this with such speed and quality, enriching the nuclear. Is that, did you just make that up, or is that an actual quote?
I mean, we did hear from Donald Trump just today on Podforce One saying he's not confident that he can get a deal now. Is this a weaker position than the Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA, that was signed under Obama in 2015, which was later dismantled by Donald Trump? Is the U.S. now in a weaker negotiating position?
But I wouldn't say so. And again, it's very difficult for me as head of an international organization to pronounce myself on if it's stronger.
I don't want to make any comments on that.
I think, that agreement, the JCPOA, was 10 years ago. So the Iran of 10 years ago has nothing to do with the Iran we see now. At that time, they had, I don't want to get too technical here.
Is that true?
or boring. You know, but the technologies they had were more primitive. They had much less material, less places where they're doing all this enrichment. Now this program has grown. So I believe that the position of the United States is clearly addressing the heart of the matter. And I think this is the challenge that both sides will have if they want to move towards an agreement. And here I will quote the president, because he was saying, if I understood correctly, that the alternative is a dire alternative. And I don't think anybody wants to see conflict or more complicated situations in a region that is already suffering a lot.
Just quickly, can I just ask you about one option for continued enrichment that could benefit energy projects around the Middle East? This idea that's been floated of a regional consortium. Do you think that's a good idea? And where
I think it's an imaginative idea. I'm not familiar with all the details. In my conversations with Ambassador Witkoff, he has mentioned...
The hog is dogged. He's gone. David Hogg removed as vice chair of Democratic National Committee.
Some points about it, and I think it is an interesting way forward, which I hope our Iranian counterparts could also explore, because by bringing other partners to the table, what is missing here, which is confidence, could be restored.
Rip. Okay, I need to make sure downstairs is clean. For anything else, since Nathan was there, I love you. I'll see you at 7 o'clock. Don't die. Be careful. Be safe. Bring your best Hassan clips, and we'll go over all of them.